Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Irish Zone Live. This is your host, Noel. I hope you're all doing very well indeed. So, I just wanted to come on because there are a couple of events happening that I want to highlight. Also, I want to give my opinions on Helen McEntee after, we've seen a slew of incidents in the city and across the country. And we have to have a serious conversation, and we really need to, do something about this Minister of Justice because it's getting out of hand. Now, on the community tab on the YouTube channel, I did throw up a link, and I put up a post as well. Read the post and then go and look at the link if you want to. But there was another incident involving a child today. But before we get into all of that, obviously, as I said, there are a few events happening, so I want to highlight them and keep everybody in the loop. Now, as you know, Lady Avera and others have posted up. And I posted it up as well and on my social media. But let's talk about obviously news talk. So Wake Up Era information drop, News Talk FM, meeting at the GPO O'Connell Street, Thursday the 4th of July at 12:30. We will be walking to News Talk head office, Maconey House, Diggs Lane, Dublin 2. All of the Irish mainstream and local media continue the blanket silence on the outrageous increase of it's all in relation to the COOF. I have to be careful on YouTube because you can't mention the COOF on YouTube. So basically what's happening is they on the meetup, we'll be marching there, and then a letter will be delivered of notice to News Talk, reminding them of their gross betrayal of the Irish people by not informing them and now publicly known risks attached to the COOF jab. So that's happening tomorrow. But I'm at being added to a group on X with over 200 members, and I put this poster up and stuff, and then there was talks of a blanket protest, not only just going to News Talk, but going to Virgin Media and RTE. But that will have to be coordinated. Obviously, you won't be able to get that done today for tomorrow, but going forward, I think that's exactly what should happen. All of these news organizations have a duty and a responsibility to report the truth, and they have not been doing that for decades now anyway. But these last few years, it's worldwide media. It's not just in Ireland, but they have relinquished their responsibilities. They're not journalists anymore. Most of these people are activists that got into journalism, and then they use their platform then to push their narrative. They haven't been journalists in a very, very long time, to be quite honest with you. But yes, I do believe that the media do need to be held to account, and I do think it needs to be highlighted. Remember, this was the same media that were helping at St. Patrick's Day. The government didn't want to be embarrassed about the migrants that were all over Dublin City, so they ferried them out of Dublin City overnight, the night before the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. On St. Patrick's Day, we saw the video footage of mainstream media journalists picking up these migrants from where they were and ferrying them back to Dublin. Okay, so the journalists in this country have not remained detached from everything that's going on. They are part of it, and it's about time that the media in this country are highlighted, and there is a pushback against the media in this country. Because remember, the left, the TDs and the government of this country use the media as a tool to push back against us. So it's about time that we did something in response to the media. They, as I said, they have neglected their responsibilities. Their first job is to report the truth, and they have not reported the truth on anything that they covered in this country in the last few years, at least. Anyway, I myself believe that media has always been manipulating the people since the dawn of time. Now, other people will believe that the media have at one stage reported the truth. I always say the media only tell you what they want you to know. They never tell you what you need to know. So, yes, I do think there should be a pushback. So the person that suggested that in the chat was bang on. There needs to be a blanket protest, but obviously this is happening tomorrow. So if you can all get into Dublin, that will be absolutely fantastic. I and many others will be there. So, you know, the bottom line is, you know, a lot of people do a lot of talking. You know, as I said, we got to start taking action in this country. And I'm not talking about violence or anything like that. As I said, proactive stuff. Anyway, there's another rally set for the 6th of July in Parnell Square at 1:30. It's a pro-life. It's a pro-life rally. So it's a Saturday, the 6th of July, Parnell Square at 1:30 p.m. So if you're pro-life and you believe, because listen, I reported yesterday over 10,000 abortions happened in Ireland. 10,000, right? Okay. Now you can't tell me, right? And I'm not just saying this, but you can't tell me that those 10,000 were all justified, right? And this is the issue that you have when you bring abortion laws into countries. They do get abused. No matter what this Irish government saying, the left say they're being abused. 10,000. Tonight, if you're in the Finglas area, there is a protest happening across from the Shamrock for Tartan Hall, and that's at 7:30 tonight. So if you're in the Finglas area or around that side of the city, across from the Shamrock, there is a protest happening for Tartan Hall. And remember, Tartan Hall is one of those sites that's next. Everybody's focused on Clonmel and Knock, but remember, Tartan Hall hasn't gone away either. So, you know, we have to be keeping an eye on that. And then, of course, there's the big protest that's being called by Malachy. And I'm just trying to think what date that is, just to be fair, because, you know, I might have me issues, but at the end of the day, it's called a rally, so I may as well call it out. Where is it? Somewhere here. Somewhere. Jesus. That's weird. It doesn't seem to be on his page. I'll have to go into the Liberal. Right, hang on. Let's see who we got in the chat anyway while I'm waiting for this to load. We've got Ireland Forever, No One's Flower, and Darren in the chat as well. We've got Kieran in the chat. Welcome. Nice to see you all. We've got 51 people watching at the moment across all three platforms. So thank you for that. We had over 200 watching yesterday, which was nice. Get all that information out there. But where's this bloody post about the National Laden protest? There, yeah, it's the 13th of July at the Garden Remembrance at 2 p.m. But as I said, me personally, I think it's a waste of time. You know, you're getting everybody to go to the Garden Remembrance, and then what's the plan then? Have it, talk, say the same things that's been heard before. You know, all of that manpower that you bring to Dublin, you could say, listen, we've got a plan to go national. We want to go in, get into communities, encourage communities that there is a better alternative to Sinn Féin, you know, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and all of these other heads. The country is already aware of what's happening, because someone tried to say back to me, well, it's to keep people informed and to highlight the issue. Well, if people don't know about the migration issue, then they clearly got their heads buried in the sand, naive or whatever. But everybody is aware now, so there doesn't need to be awareness. You know what I mean? What needs to happen is there needs to be proactive action. And after today's event, which is a nice little segue, the kind of proactive stuff that I'm talking about is, you know, instead of, you know, calling for a national protest, why doesn't Malachy and co say, listen, we've seen the surge of kidnappings of children in Dublin and across the country in housing estates. We need to bring back a community watch style thing. Parents, listen, the bottom line is, back in my day, right, they had the whole Concerned Parents Against Drugs, right? And parents went out and marched and blah, blah, blah. You all know. If you've all seen it, you know, you can watch YouTube videos. Still YouTube videos up on YouTube about the whole thing and all, right? And it went back to the community. Communities then themselves start, you know, patrolling their areas, right? They start safeguarding the areas that you are living in. And you see, that's what we've lost, right? That's what they've taken away from us, that sense of community. So that's what we need to bring back. And unfortunately, listen, people say, well, we shouldn't have to do that now. And you're absolutely right. But the Gardaí are not going to protect you. Helen McEntee is not going to protect you. This government is not going to protect you. Right? It's been made very clear that they don't want to protect you. They'd rather beat you up and spray you with pepper spray and whack you across the head with batons rather than deal with the real issue in this country. So we're going to have to do it ourselves. So there has to be around communities. Communities need to get together. You need to be organising these things. There has to be someone in these community that you look up. There's always someone in a community that's willing to step up. Right? So organise these things, because these people are not going to help you. Another incident with a kid involving vodka. Right? Now, they caught the culprit. The people did. And as I said, there's a link to the video. Now, one of the lads was going to hit him with a golf club, but it looks like he was stopped from doing that, just in case they went too far. Because, you know, it'll be spun, even though that prick has committed a crime, right, the Irish person will be the one that'll get stick because he decided to take justice into his own hands. But this is what's happening, folks, because the government, Helen McEntee, the Gardaí are not doing their job. So communities need to get together. You need to, back in the day like they did, they all got into the community centre. They all sat down and they talked about how they were going to tackle the problem. And the solution was to go out and do patrols at night time, during the day. Obviously, like, they walked it around because they knew some people worked. The people that didn't work did the day shifts. The people that had a couple of hours after work did the night shift and stuff like that, and vice versa. But that's what you need to be doing. That's what needs to happen. These people are not going to help you. And trust me, I just want to make clear, if one of these scumbags are caught doing that, for me personally, I don't care what happens to them, right? If an Irish person goes too far, I don't care. I think it's justified, right? But that's all it will take to turn this whole thing into a mad mess anyway, right? Because then the left will then say racist attack, all of this shit, and then this country will be in turmoil. So the best thing to prevent that is to get communities out. You all have to come together now and start working together, coordinating, because different people will try different things in different communities. What works in their community mightn't necessarily work in their community. There needs to be communication all across the board. Like, I mentioned that, Paul. I mentioned that already, mate, but I'll throw it back up on screen there. I mentioned that. It's the very first thing that we mentioned. So that's in Finglas tonight, outside the Shamrock. Then, as I said, there's the Malachy one on, what was it again? The 13th. Then there was the pro-life one, which is happening, I think, what did I say, the 6th or something. And then there's the GPO one tomorrow, which I'll be there, and I'll be seeing Paul there as well, because Paul and Lady of Era are going to be there. It'll be great to catch up properly, like, instead of fucking talking through a bleeding computer screen. As you can tell, I'm far more relaxed today, for some weird reason. I don't know why, because a lot of shit has happened. But yeah, I'm just in one of those moods. I'm just nice and relaxed, taking things in my stride, as they say. But that's what needs to happen, guys. This sort of stuff needs to be happening. It's the only way that you're going to combat it, because the Gardaí are just useless at this point. Useless. Yeah, that's it. Even just walking your dog, keeping an eye out, looking out for suspicious behavior. These are all the things you need to be doing. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have to live like that, but unfortunately the Gardaí are not doing feck all, right? As I said, they'd rather turn on the Irish people rather than actually do their jobs and protect and serve. So on to Helen McEntee, because obviously it's all down to her. She's the Justice Minister. A Canadian tourist is no longer with us. The tourist industry is already in a dire mess. What way to endear yourself to the rest of the countries of the world when they find out that, our people are not even safe down to Dublin anymore? And then what did the media do in a pathetic attempt, right, to try prove that tourists are safe here? They got some Canadian couple to do fuck it. Do you feel safe in Dublin? Do you feel safe in Dublin? They asked, rather than dealing with the issue. Unbelievable. But Helen McEntee's job is untenable. She needs to resign. She needs to resign. And there has to be pressure put on the Justice Minister, right? It can't be just the migration pact and all of this other stuff. we've got to go full. Look, we've got to be fighting on all fronts here. She needs to go. She needs to resign. She cannot do the job. The job is over her head. I wouldn't even let her work in my kitchen, for God's sake. She's that bloody bad and useless. Exactly. She knows exactly what's happening. And then when a journalist brings up, I'm not going to talk about specific case. Okay, then don't talk about that specific case, but talk about the fact that crime rates in this country have soared. All of a sudden now we're seeing more knife crime in this country than we've ever seen in our previous 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 fucking. I remember. We've never had anything like this in this country. Never. We've had the gangland stuff and all of that. Yeah, I won't deny that. We've had that. People have been bang bang. Right? We've had that shit. But never knives. We've never had an epidemic with knife crime. Now we do. And then the thing about it is, when you say what it is and who's responsible, oh, you're racist, you're far right. Right? Us Irish people generally like to use our fists. Right? We're not weapons kind of people anyway. Right? If you're an honourable man, you'll fight honourably with your fists, and then when the man has had enough, you walk away. Right? That's how we do things, or that's how we used to do things, I think. But these animals, right, even when the person's down, they're stamping on their heads and they're taking their lives. Like, they have no problem of deleting someone. That's their mentality. And we never had an issue like that in this country. Not even when I was growing up as a kid, right? We had your fellas robbing cars and stuff. Joyriders is what we had a problem with growing up. Joyriders. Right? Not people going around, sticking things into people. Will you get away? And then we're racist. We're racist for bringing it up. I'm sorry, but no, our people are fucking civilized to a point, right? These people that you're letting into this country are unfucking civilized and think it's okay to go around and grape women. They think it's all right to go around and delete people, right? And we're supposed to accept that. Yeah, you can get fucked. Get fucked. Irish people are not going to accept that. That's not how we want to live our lives and want their country to go. You just have to look at the UK. You just have to look at England, especially. Look at London, right? A place that I've always wanted to visit, never did, right? But it was a place that I said, I'm going to go to London one day, right? I've always had, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm a Doctor Who fan and stuff in London and Wales as well, Cardiff. But London was a place that I wanted to go to, right? Just like when the Brits come over here to Dublin, they like to come in here to Dublin for their hens and stag do's and all of that shit. I wouldn't go to London now. I wouldn't go to England now. And I was looking forward to go. I wouldn't go to that country now. Right? I don't even know if I went over there to get out alive. And it's the same as happening here. Poor tourists from other countries, Canada. There's been a couple of incidents with tourists being assaulted in this country. And Helen McEntee comes out, Dublin's safe. Dublin's safe. Dublin isn't safe. The country isn't safe. Now, you can ignore it all you want. And you can play dumb all you want. Right? But it's been said many a time on a space. And it's been said many a time on a YouTube channel and on social media accounts all over. You can only push the Irish people so far until they've had enough. And you don't want them to get to that point. The bottom line is this. You resign. Simon Harris, you call an election. It's game over. It's game over. We've had enough of yous. Yous aren't mandated by the Irish people. We do not believe that yous are there to protect us. Yous have made that clear, by the way. The evidence is there. Right? So when a government gets elected, they're mandated by the people. You guys were not mandated by the people to do any of this stuff that yous are doing. So call a general election. Because all I'll just say is, if you don't call a general election, I'll just say, look at Bolivia. And that's all I'm going to say on that. We're getting closer and closer to this edge. Right? So, do the right thing. Right? If you have a shred of fucking humanity in yous will do the right thing. But we see that you don't have a shred of humanity. Right? And this is how stupid that this country is, folks, right? So they've heard this diversity hire, right? I'm gonna say it. That's exactly what it is. Right? This is a person that thought Ribena was racist. Right, because she was handed a glass of Ribena instead of a glass of wine, and she called it racist. The appointment of Dr. Ebun Joseph, a woman who once called being served Ribena racist, as Ireland's new anti-racism czar. Right, so this person that was accidentally served a glass of Ribena instead of a glass of wine, and then made a big issue out of it, called them racist, and then, by the way, actually got the glass of wine. They said it was a genuine mistake. They apologized. They gave her a glass of wine, but she still made a big deal of it. This is the woman that the government have put in charge of the anti-racism shit in our, because apparently now we're all racist, folks. Right? So this blow-in is now telling us how we as Irish people, how we should behave, and we're going to be educated because we're uncivilized, and we need to be educated on racism. Let me educate you on racism, okay? Simple as this, okay? If you don't like living in this country because you don't get Irish people and you don't respect their heritage, the way they run their country, right? You decided to come here as a guest. So I suggest that if you don't like this country, you get on a fucking plane and go back to where you came from. Now, if that's racist to you, I don't give two flying fucks what it sounds like. You are a guest in this country. You came to this country. You decided to make this country your home. Now, for whatever reason that was, right, I won't speculate on the reason. The people in the chat can do that. Whether you're a scammer, whether you're legit, doesn't matter, right? You decided to make this country your home. You have no business then coming in here and interfering in Irish fucking society, Irish politics, and then pointing the finger at the Irish people and telling them that they're fucking racist. The only fucking racists that are in this country are all you fucking dickheads that came here and now lecturing us about race. Right? Okay? Nobody gives a flying fuck what colour skin you have. Right? The fact of the matter is, no matter where you fucking go, it's I'm a victim. Oh, we're oppressed. You wouldn't know what our ancestors went fucking through. Yous bloody fucking half-wits. Yous wouldn't have half the fucking clue. And if you knew anything about fucking black history, you would know that fucking black people were actually selling black fucking slaves as well. So get over this victim mentality, because I'm fucking sick of it. Right? Not one of you have been oppressed in this day and age, because we were fucking making fucking inroads on racism around the world. Now racism is rife everywhere according to fucking everybody. We were going in the right direction. The left, BLM, All of these things were all brought in to divide society, divide and fucking conquer, to create a race fucking war. Right? I don't hate anybody because the colour of their skin. Nobody in this chat, I reckon, hates anybody because the colour of their skin, right? But we're sick of the victimhood mentality from all of you people that come over here and expect us to bend down to use our will. Fuck off. Yous come here, yous follow our rules and our fucking laws and our ways of doing things, and if you don't like it, then it's bye-bye, baby. The fucking arrogance of these people. Fucking moaning, we don't like the food, we don't like the people, Irish banter is too harsh. I'm sick of it all. And then the government plays right into their hands and gives them a platform for this bollocks. And then the media do the same as well. Do you remember when all of that shit happened and you had all the black media person, oh, I don't feel safe in Ireland anymore after the riot? Like, what's it got to do with fucking you? People didn't riot because of black people, you fucking idiot. Right? They went fucking crazy because 3 fucking children and a woman were fucking stabbed. But they make it about themselves, and they can make it, right? And that they can use to make it about themselves, they make it about themselves. And I'm fucking sick and tired of it. Right? I'm sick and tired of it. Right? Yous came here, right? So you don't like it, fuck off and do us a favour. Right? Because we're sick of listening to his moaning. This shit won't fly like it did in America. And every other fucking country that bowed to you will. We will fight back against this every fucking step of the way. How fucking dare you accuse my people of fucking being racist? We've done fucking a lot for people around this fucking world. We've done a lot. You just go back through our history. We've helped everybody. We've literally helped everybody fucking out there. We've paid our fucking due as a country. We don't have to take any more you dickheads in if we don't want to. Bloody fucking swear to good God, man. You will all be getting kicked out. You will all be getting kicked out. Because I'm sick of yous. We're all sick of yous. Right? We just want to get on with our lives. You just get on with your lives. If you don't like our country, as I said, get out. Right? Okay? But if you want to make a better life for yourself, then shut the fuck up. Follow our laws. Right? Eat our fucking food. Or make your own food. I don't give a fuck. Right? Don't be fucking moaning, right? Because understand fucking this, right? There are Irish people out there that are less fortunate than you, right? And the fucking cheeky is to be given out. Cheeky is, I swear. It's a fucking nerve. Could you imagine, right, if I went to Nigeria? Right, so I emigrated to Nigeria, brought me family, right? And I start telling all these Nigerians that they're racist, right? And that they should have more white spaces and all of this other nonsense. What do you think would happen to me? Right? But this isn't Nigeria. We're not Nigerian, and we're not the Nigerian people, but we can only tolerate so fucking much. Okay? And we've tolerated enough of you that bullshit to last a lifetime. Right, this country isn't racist, and I know my people, we're not fucking racist, right? It's a fucking insult. It's a fucking insult to our people. Exactly, wouldn't last 5 minutes, I wouldn't. Exactly, you're absolutely right, I wouldn't. I'd be taken out as quick as I tell you, man. I'd be deported like that. They wouldn't, yeah, there'd be zero tolerance. And here's the thing. Do you know what annoys me about all of these people as well? The most ironic thing about it is, right, they come here, right, to make a better life for themselves, but then within a few months or years, they're giving out because it's not great, right? Why don't you actually sort out the root cause of the issue, which is our country where you came from, and actually, you know, sort out your own country, So the rest of us don't have to listen to you bitch and moan all the time about how you are victims, because you aren't victims, right? We've welcomed many people into this country, right? Many people, Polish, Brazilian, you name it, right? Chinese, Koreans, right? We throughout our history have helped people in need. And all we're saying to all you guys is that, like, we can't help anymore. We can't even help our own people. And again, you know, when I look at Ukraine and I see videos of the elites and their kids dancing at discos, and in the background there's a city fucking in flames, like, that pisses me off. We're literally pumping, like the rest of Europe and America, we're pumping money into that country. And then you've got the cowards over here getting gaps and whatever. They should be at home in their own country, fighting for their own country. Because guaranteed, if our country was at war with another country, us Irish people wouldn't be fleeing. I don't think so anyway. Maybe the left, actually, because they're weak. The left would probably run, but it'd only be the left. The rest of us would stay and defend this country and defend its soil, wouldn't we? That's what my belief is. You know, if your country is under attack, it's your duty as a citizen of that country nurtured you. That country held generations of your fucking family. So when you run like a coward, and that's how I see these Ukrainians, cowards. And I called it from day one, right? You were telling you now, the world is backing the wrong horse in Ukraine, right? Before all of this, listen, as I told you, right, I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of research, right? I watch a lot of videos, right? I seriously, that's what I spend my day doing. I don't even really watch TV that often. There's a couple of shows that I watch when they're out, I'll watch them, but all year round, that's what I do. Now, before this Ukrainian Russia wink wink war happened, right? People like Hillary Clinton, Boris Johnson, people all over Europe, right? There's even a Reuters article, right? Right in, actually Google this, right? I'll have to write it in the chat because you can't say the N, the bad German word, right? But Reuters, right, have an article. Check it out, right? I'll put it in for you now. Hold on. I think it's called Ukraine's Bad German Problem. Right? So Google that, read the article. Right? The rest, before this thing broke out, senators even in the US had concerns about Ukraine and its problem with bad Germans. Right? The country is actually, if people think Zelensky is in power, well, then you are absolutely, then you aren't, listen, you need to educate yourselves. He's not in charge, right? He is a puppet on a string, right? The country is actually being run by all of these groups, right? And we're pumping billions, right? Along with the Irish government, Europe, and all of them are pumping billions into that country, right? And it's actually, see, the cowards won't, the allies won't, the cowards like America, and I'm talking about the government, not the people, right? Britain and all of them, they want to actually go in after Russia, but they're using Ukraine to do it. They're using Ukraine to do it. That's why they're funding it. They won't directly go in themselves, but they'll arm the Ukrainians and their allies against Russia, right? So there's been a huge problem in Ukraine for a very, very long time. And this is the thing that annoys me about this world. It's like everybody just buys into it and got sucked into it. It's absolutely fucking mind-boggling to me. It's like as if people haven't been educated or don't. Do you know what? It's probably true. They don't actually go and seek out information anymore because they're distracted by social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, all of these little videos, and then you've got your reality TV. See, this is what all of this does. It's all the distraction away from all the things that are actually happening. And as I said, the media tell you what they want to know. They don't tell you what you should know. That's what I mean. We're funding them, and now he's coming out all of a sudden, and he's saying now that he might have to end it now because they're being obliterated. Listen, he's facilitated in his own people dying, right? And he's being used. End of story. So, no sympathy for Ukraine. That's why I don't like Ukrainians over here. You don't know who's over here, but at the same time, they should be at home in their own country. Right? They shouldn't be running away. Well, I mean, if you want to send your wife and your kids away, fair enough. I can understand that to a certain extent. Women and children, do you know what I mean? But not the blokes. There should be no Ukrainian men here. They should be back in Ukraine. And the Ukrainians shouldn't have been given first preference when they came over here either. Irish people should have been given preferences to homes first. See, the government made a lot of mistakes. So the government say that the far right is radicalising the people. The far right is not radicalising the people. Yous are radicalising the people, which is our fucking policies and their decisions. They're all fucking stupid. You're not listening to the people either. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Anyway, that's the worldwide issue. But back to us on Helen McEntee. Listen, as I said, we've got to be doing all of this for ourselves. And as for that new racism spokesperson or whatever the fuck she's supposed to be, I mean, listen, the bottom line is that, and by the way, it's actually funny because the Migration Pact is part of the durable relationships is part of the Migration Pact, by the way. That's why they pushed it through. So the referendum that you voted in, even though you told the government that you weren't accepting it, sure, they pushed it through without you anyway. So they did it behind your back. They pushed it through. They don't give a shit. Right? So they held a referendum and spent millions on a referendum, and they knew all along that they were going to pour it through the Migration Pact anyway. So they wasted taxpayers' money again on a pointless referendum because this government, who claims to be a democratic one, is acting more like a dictatorship and is doing whatever they want. Yeah, they could have went to different parts of Ukraine, but they chose to come to different countries. I know it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like, anything happens in the world. Well, listen, they look at Ireland as, it's our government's fault. We've made it easy. You see. The benefit system for migrants over here is very good. And forget about all the smoke and mirrors of Helen McEntee saying that she's brought down the money that they're getting and all of this. They're still getting all the other stuff, and they're still getting the free food going to these places and getting fed and stuff like that. So while they might be giving them less cash, they still got all the other stuff. So don't buy into any of that nonsense from Helen McEntee either. She's just a fucking. I tell you, that woman. She's been. I said it. listen, I'm around over 40 years, let's just say, right? And I've seen justice ministers come and go, right? And we've had some pretty bad justice ministers. We've had some all right ones as well. Not all of them have been bad. But she is by far, in the history of this republic, is the worst minister of justice that we've ever had. The worst minister of justice. And the fact that she's still in the job. So she must have dirt on people. She has to have, listen, a woman like Helen McEntee doesn't get where she gets to unless she has dirt on people. She has to have dirt on people. There's no way that if that was a male minister of justice, that they would survive in their job. They'd already be sacked. So you've got to ask, why is she being kept on? Is it because of this quota of having certain female ministers in positions and all of that? So are you doing that rather than actually doing, actually hiring based off talent rather than a tick box? Because this woman should not be minister of justice to this country. She's proven that she is out of her depth. Incident after incident. About an incident in Ballymun involving a sharp object. The wavy ones. Have to be careful because we're on YouTube. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, do you know what I mean? As I said, that type of crime wasn't happening in Ireland as much as it's happening now. Irish people, as I said, it wasn't a big thing, that sort of thing that's happening now. And we're seeing mass brawls all over the place as well. And it's always the usual suspects. See, here's the thing that the left don't get. And that the government or all of these people, elites, don't get. See, you're trying to force people together. Unfortunately, you have a problem. And the big problem is this, is that the people that you're trying to force together are incompatible. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But that is the issue. We're incompatible. See, our moral standards and our moral compass would be set differently to certain people that come into this country. Right? Same with religious beliefs. Same with how you cannot force people together. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You show me a country where they've got it absolutely perfect on the diversity front and inclusion, and it's a perfect country and nothing goes on in it. There's not one country out there. That's a fact. Right? Any diverse cultures or countries out there, there's always some sort of conflict going on. Right? There's never any peace. Because, listen, it's different when you go on holidays and you visit these countries and all that. You go for 2 weeks, whatever, blah, you're home. Do you know what I mean? You only experience a little bit of their culture, all of this, that, and that's enough. But then when those people come here to live here, right? See, they don't just come here to live here. What happens then is those people then want their religious beliefs to be up there. They want people to bow down to them. We see that with a certain religion out there, affects every country. And now all of a sudden, like, you've got to do what we tell you to do and all this other fucking attitude. Right? The bottom line is that we just don't mix. We're not compatible. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not racist. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Right? We can come together for special events, sporting events, and all these other events that happen. Right? But we can't live together. Can't live together. Different morally, different socially, different behaviors. People from different countries behave differently to other people in their country. There's always going to be conflict. Always. Unless, of course, there are people out there that are compatible with your way of doing things. But few and far between. So, you know, but it's the cause chaos, cause divide, it's the cause wars anyway, because these elites want to delete most of us anyway. They try to do that with things that they've done over the last few years. You know, they've made it clear what their agenda is. But all of this social upheaval, you know, Me Too, BLM, all of these were designed to cause disruption socially, and to divide us, because you had the feminists pushing all men are dangerous and all of this a few years back. Do you remember? Then BLM after George Floyd, you know, all white people are the enemy of black people, all of this bullshit that they're pushing, and they're still pushing that narrative still today. And they're divisive. They're there to divide and conquer. And unfortunately, in most countries, it's worked. That's the problem. We'll get there. I do honestly believe that the ones of us that are saying will get us there. We'll get there eventually. You know, it has to change, because if we keep going in the same direction that we're going in, and I'm not just talking about migration, I'm talking about socially and what's happening around the world, the way we're being driven, and the direction we're being driven in. This war, we're not. It's not going to be a nice place to live. It's not going to be a nice place to live. So get more proactive in your communities, guys. You know, as I said, neighborhood watches. It's the summer. I know it's not much of a summer. So much for the global boiling nonsense, by the way. But there you go. But you know, as I said, street parties and all of that. Get the communities together. Get your kids together. That's one way of protecting and looking after your kids as well. Organising these type of events, having the parents around, keeping an eye on things. You know, we had summer projects growing up. I know there's still some places around the country that still do that, but they kind of died out a little bit. You know, we need to be bringing all of that back as well. You know, especially when the kids are on their summer holidays, give them something to do. You know, and that way as well. You know, the adults know where their kids are. They know who's supervising their kids, or if they're doing it, that's it. They're not doing the supervising themselves. But you know what I mean? You can organise trips to the zoo. Well, I would say to the zoo, but oh, Jesus. But you could organise little events like that and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's plenty of stuff you can do, use ourselves, to help use ourselves and make sure that your kids are safe, because the Gardaí won't do it for you. And that Justice Minister is the one that's in charge. She's the one that's supposed to be getting things into gear. And Drew Harris, I haven't forgotten about Drew Harris, but he's another problem and an issue as well. But we'll you know, eventually Drew Harris will be gone, because he can't continue with the shit that's going on in this country. He just can't. Bring awareness here. Exactly. Bring awareness to your kids. You know, when you have these street parties, then have a speaker. Have someone talk to the kids, you know, telling them the dangers. Not, you remember the old conversations that we used to have Irish Day, you know, we you know, don't talk to strangers and all of this. Like, it seems to me that conversations like this don't happen anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? But there's plenty of stuff you can do. You know, people said to me the other day that I was being too negative, right? So, you know, I sat on it. I don't think I was being overly negative. I was just being truthful about how I saw things, right? But it did make me think, and I thought, you know what? We can do things, and you know, it's a few hours out of everybody's time. you can organize these things at a certain time that there's people available and all of this. There's loads to do. As I said, you know, community watch has to come back. You know, patrols of your areas. But if you're doing all of these street parties and doing all of these events for the kids, then you cut that down. Then you won't have to do it as much. Do you know what I mean? So it's all about just us, not waiting on people out there to tell us what to do. We've got to take the initiative ourselves and do stuff. And as we seen, you know, people in the Phoenix Park the other day, they took the initiative and they did something. This thing happening at the GPO took initiative. This is what needs to be happening. Do you know what I mean? So it's great to see that it's already happening, but we need it on a wider scale, and we need people to start, you know, go off and have a conversation with someone tonight in your community. You know, say, listen, you know, listening to a stream, you don't have to tell them who you're listening to, but say, listening to a stream, and this person brought up about, you know, doing these community events and all that. Test the water, see how people feel. You know, as I said, hold a community meeting. We were always taught that never trust a stranger, never get into a stranger's car. You know, if a stranger offers you sweets, you know, scream, run. You know, kids nowadays, they are too comfortable with strangers, though. You know, and I think social media has a lot to do with that as well, though. You know, and I also believe it's parents as well. Not all parents, but you know, there are parents out there that'll protect their children and never lose sight of their kids. Unfortunately, there's a lot of parents out there that don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Then incidents, yeah, it just, you have to be careful when you say things like that as well, because you don't want any parent thinking that you're blaming them for anything. I'm not blaming any parent for anything. You know, but the bottom line is you're living in a dangerous country now, and it shouldn't be the case, but it's because of the government, you know, and the people that are supposed to protect you. So we've got to do everything for ourselves, and you know, there's plenty of things we can do. We shouldn't even have to do that. I know it's sad. I agree with you, Billy. I said that as well. Yeah, it is sad that we have to do it. But that's what we've gotten to, right? Paul says it as well. It needs to start grassroots in all areas. Those that think alike build your presence in your area. Then all grassroots need united, come together en masse, and starts with departments of exactly, Paul, exactly. But this is how you win people over as well. You know, this is how the adults, because what will happen then, the kids will all play with each other, won't they? The adults will be doing their bit. When the adults get time to sit down, relax, and watch their kids playing, that's when the conversations start, right? That's when the conversations start. So then you start throwing your ideas out there. You start throwing out all of these things that are happening, and then before you know it, then full-blown conversations are happening. That's what it's all about, man. Eric English and myself have been really pushing this these last few months. This whole community is where we're going to win it. The youth is where we're going to win it. Right? We need to inspire those kids, and if we could show those kids that we can protect them, and we do have their best interests at heart, right? We can get them stop listening to these lefty fucking lunatics that are trying to indoctrinate them. Our kids don't have a fucking hope if we don't do something. The Department of Justice staff are the ones carrying out government orders, letting all these males enter the country, guard the customs. Yeah, and also as I showed you, actually, Gardaí are now recruiting people from Brazil, Pakistan. We even have a Gardaí from the US. a couple from the US as well. So not even Irish people now are signing up for the Gardaí. Actually, numbers down with the Irish are actually down. Nobody wants to join the traitor force. But the problem that you have then is because Irish people won't join, you have all of these foreign people joining now. And how can you trust someone from a different country to protect people on this island? I mean, it's absolutely baffling. I wouldn't trust a foreign cop over an Irish, even though the Irish ones are just as bad, but I'd rather I'm being honest, I would trust the fucking Irish copper over any one of these fuckers. Can't trust them. It needs to stop. The force and the army should have people, just Irish people in it. I don't care if that sounds whatever, but that's how I feel about it. If you're, you know what I mean, it's the Irish institutions, so you hire Irish people only. That's what I mean, Rex. Do you know what I mean? Some people will have your attitude, and rightly so. Do you know what I mean? And that's where the fun starts then. Do you know what I mean? I'm telling you, man, this country is absolutely corrupt and rotten to the core. Yeah, well, we might as well call ourselves the Republic of the EU. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Lady of Era, because it's not fucking the Republic of Ireland, is it? It's not Era anymore, is it? We just handed over. I mean, people were saying, you know, the media, like, our sovereignty might be at risk. And I was like, at risk? We've already handed over our sovereignty. What are you fucking talking about? As soon as this EU changed into something more than trade, as soon as those treaties were signed, that was it. Your sovereignty was already gone, you bleeding morons. These press, you know what I mean? We've no sovereignty. That's the funny thing about it. Everybody talks about sovereignty, and James and our word is spot on. We've no sovereignty. None. I was eroded a long time ago, folks. It's gone. Our sovereignty is an illusion now. It's an illusion. Who controls our budget? Right? Who gives the final approval of our budget? The EU. Who passes laws in this country? The EU. Right? We haven't had sovereignty. Get away with sovereignty. It's gone fucking decades. Gone decades. We're more open to attack as well now, we are. Because government stands on certain issues. Not only that, but we are part of this, and this whole thing about them saying there's no European army. Listen, there's an anthem and all. They've got their own fucking flag, and they're building their own fucking army. Right? Some say the UN, no, but they're building their own army. 100% army that they control. Ireland isn't neutral anymore either. Neutrality, when Micheál Martin said about neutrality was an old-fashioned, I know that annoyed people, but he was absolutely right. We're not neutral anyway. He just had to word it that way. But we're not neutral anyway. This country is not neutral and we're not sovereign. Right? And the only way we can be neutral and sovereign, right, is get out of the EU. The only problem with that is because the Brits fucked it up. People here in Ireland, it'd be a hard sell to the people of Ireland, even the ones that want to get rid of this government. It's going to be a hard sell for Ireland exit, right? Because the Brits fucked up theirs. Right? But we have to get out of Europe. Yeah, people will say, oh no, Europe has been, yeah, it has. But we've had to give away our sovereignty and everything else for it. So I say, fuck that. I don't care how much money you've gave us, right? We have to pay all the money back. Fuck it. We'll pay the bastards back their money, right? But I want this country to be a fucking sovereign nation again, right? And for us to remain neutral like we're supposed to fucking be, right? And look after us first, right? Not European interests, Irish interests. It's like when I see all this, you're European. I'm not Europe. I'm Irish, right? Not part of any European Union or anything. I'm Irish. The island of Ireland is on the what would you call it? Continent or of Europe? Would it be continent? Is that what would you call it? Whatever, right? We're part of that zone, all right. But we're not fucking Europe. Well, I don't class myself as European. I'm Irish, right? I'm not a European citizen. I'm an Irish citizen, right? Ireland's my home. And I don't want to be part of some fucking union anyway. Right? If I want to go out and meet Europeans, I'll go on fucking holiday. Right? Don't need to be part of a union. Right? This is what's wrong with this country. This is what I can't why. This is why I never understood our governments anyway. You know, back in the day, you know, wasn't it fucking what's his name? Fucking I can never fucking think of his name. But who was the Taoiseach when we signed into the ECC? It was fucking what's his face before Charles Haughey. It was fucking I can never get his name. Jack Lynch. That's who it was. Right. Jack Lynch signed us in. He went to the European yoke, he signed the whole thing, got a standing ovation, all of that. That was the downfall right there. Right. And the reason why that was done was because the Irish government was so useless. You know, at making trade deals. They opted into this fucking ECC, which was the European, what was it? The European something community or whatever the fuck it was called. And then, of course, then gradually it starts shifting from trade. Then, before you knew it, we had a parliament, then anthem, army, and now we're here today. And now we've got unelected officials telling us what to fucking do here. So you can all forget about Jesus' sovereignty and all of this bullshit. We haven't had sovereignty. Economic community, that's what it was. It was the ECC, wasn't it? Economic European, economic something, EC, whatever. European Economic Community, that's what it was. There, I was right. EEC. It was EEC, not ECC. Jesus, fucking hell! I'm showing me age, but shh. Well, I'm not that old, but you see, I'm into Irish history. Well, obviously, because I'm a fucking Irish, but political stuff. I've gone all the way back throughout our political history, and I think Irish politics is actually very fascinating. Actually, it was very violent back in the day as well. The shit that used to go on in the Dáil. Behind the scenes that none of us saw. Unbelievable. Literally people being boxed around in Leinster House. Unbelievable. But that was the downfall. So that's where Ireland's downfall. 1973. So that's when Ireland went down this path. So if we hadn't signed up to that in 1973, we could be sitting here in a different situation if we still resisted the EU after all of this time, right? we'd be in a different situation right now. We'd have the punt still. I don't know how we'd be doing economically, but I'm pretty sure we'd be holding our own because there'd still be a lot of countries that would want to do trade with us. And I believe that that would be the case if we left the EU. I do believe, because Irish goods, Irish beef, you know, we've got some primo stuff here in this country. So, you know, if Europe want to play hardball with us, well, then we can just stop exporting fucking beef and butter and fucking all of this. We punish those bastards. That's how we do it. It's as simple as that. You want to fish in our waters? No, you can't fish in our waters. Sorry, get the fuck out now. Right? We could play hardball. That's what we need. We need a government hardball. I mentioned Charles J. Hotty, right, and I got a bit of stick. Forget about the baggage with Charles J. Hotty, right? Forget about the fact that he was corrupt. But a leader with his charisma, with his persona, with his no-nonsense bollocks is exactly the leader we need in Ireland today. Right? Except the corruption part of it, of course. But, do you know what I mean? That's why I mentioned Charles J. Hotty. Because I always remember him. He's the Taoiseach that I'll always remember. Right? Even though we had Bertie and all of that. But Charles J. is the one that I always am fascinated by. Right? Because he had so many flaws, right? He took all those brown envelopes and stuff. But he was a no-nonsense. I mean, this was the Taoiseach that put Margaret Thatcher in her place. Not many world leaders could do that. And he did. Right, he did. So that's the type of leader that we need to be going up against Europe when we decide to pull out. See, could you imagine if Simon Harris, right, say we all voted to leave Europe, and Simon Harris was doing the negotiation on behalf of the Irish people? Do you think that man would go hardball at all of these politicians in Europe? Do you think he'd have the balls to do what a Charles J. Hotty did? Absolutely not. He'd bow down to every stipulation and he'd come back with a worse deal. Right? We seen Enda Kenny. Look at him. Everybody thought that he was, because he was an old headmaster, that he was going to be, yeah, he'll get the job done. Sure, he bleeding sold out as well. As soon as the Europe opened their mouth, he signed on the dotted line. He didn't give a shit. We've got soft politicians. Soft. And we need someone like a Charles J. Hotty. We really fucking do. Right? And I mean, the personality-wise, that's what we need. But we don't have one. We don't actually have one. We need our hardball. We need someone that just is just, you know, someone that exactly, Hotty understood Irish people. He could go to a random cattle mart and talk to people. Can you imagine any of this shower Gibbs we have now? They obviously didn't even like them. Well, remember they went to the ploughing festival, didn't they? And they got some stick down there. But you're right. He did understand Irish people. I think even after he did all the shit, I know most of the country turned on him, but the group of people that never turned on him were the old age pensioners. They loved that man. They loved that man. He did a lot for old age pensioners. Like when he was Minister of Health as well. Like he did a lot for old age pensioners. See, this is the thing. Charles Hotty actually did do some good stuff. He did some bad, pretty awful stuff as well, policy-wise. But the majority wasn't bad. And he wasn't a bad leader. He wasn't. He commanded that team. When Charles J. Hotty came on the news or he was making a speech, people at home paid attention. I know I did. And it's just sad that he has all the baggage. Because if he didn't have all of that baggage, I think when he died, I think a lot more people would have been devastated, to be quite honest. Because I think as a leader, he is what you need for a leader. He was no nonsense and he would literally rip the balls off someone if they challenged him. And that's what we need in this country. We need a leader like that. So is there anybody out there that you see? Because The closest person that I can think of when I see all the nationalists that I see is Justin Barrett. But does he have that? I've seen a few of his speeches, but does he have that extra fire? Well, if you don't like what I have to say, then you don't have to be here. But again, you know, I'm not praising Charles J. Again, you just come in. So if you go back and listen to what I actually said, instead of making a comment, just coming in halfway through, I said we need someone with Charles J. Hotty's personality, not with the baggage. That's what I said. So no, I am not praising Charles J. Hotty. I am saying that personality-wise, that's the type of leader that we need. And not everything that Charles J. Hotty did was bad. He did a lot of bad, but he also did some good as well. But if you just want to remember the man and all the bad that he did, that's fine. That's fair enough. That's your prerogative. What I'm saying is we need someone with his, as James has just said there, took the words right out of me mouth. We need someone with Charles J. Hotty's mentality and charisma, right, to lead this country. That's what I said. And by the way, just by the way, Bertie was worse, and Enda Kenny was worse than Charles J. Hotty. Yeah, we'll see you later. You don't have to make a song and dance about it. Bye. Bye bye. See, I don't mind if people don't like Charles J. Hotty. I don't like him myself. All I just said was he was, as a leader, he was a great leader, right? He put Margaret Thatcher in her place, right? He was a no-nonsense man, and when he was on screen, when you saw him on the international stage, he wasn't a fucking absolute joke like these half-wits are today, right? Now, if you take away all the baggage and corruption, and you're just left with the charisma, the way the man carried himself, well, then you have one of the greatest leaders, or potentially one of the greatest leaders a country could have. But unfortunately, he couldn't resist the temptation of filling his pockets, right? But personality-wise, right, the way he dealt with things, we don't have a leader like that. So you can call me, I mean, the first thing you come in, you called me a muppet. You couldn't get your point across without having to insult me. So all right, already I know you're the kind of person that I wouldn't want to be dealing with, because you don't like anybody having opinions or different opinions. I don't care whether you hate the man or you piss on his grave. The bottom line is, as I said, personality-wise, that man, nobody could match him in Irish politics. Nobody. I did not say TV was okay. Again, you're not listening to what I said. I said, you take away the fact that he took brown envelopes. I am not saying that it was justified, right? He's a scumbag, but he did pay all that money back. His family paid all of that money back, by the way, is another thing that people keep forgetting. No, I'm sorry, because this has been happening in a few streams that I've done now, Paul. people just coming in, they like the first thing that come out of their mouth was I'm a muppet, right? So unless they put their point across without the insults, I have every right to fucking respond. Now, if they don't like what I have to say about Charles J. Hottie, or if anybody doesn't like what I have to say about Charles J. Hottie, well, then you can leave. As I said, this is my channel. I'm giving my opinions. You all decided to come and listen to me. You don't have to if you don't agree with me. Right? I'm not forcing anybody to be here. Right? So if you don't like what I have to say, well, then don't be here. The bottom line is, if you take all those leadership qualities that Charles J. Hottie had, and we had someone modern today that had those characteristics, right, this country would be better off. Right? Not justifying the fact that he screwed the people over, right? I'm not justifying any actions that he took, right? I'm talking about his personality, right? And then someone comes in here then and decides to call, the first thing out of their mouth is call me a muppet, and you're telling me not to get triggered by people's comments when they're the one that's starting it there. So go and have a word with them for calling me a muppet in the first fucking place, because they only came in halfway through the fucking conversation, right? Look, the bottom line will be this. From now on, moving forward, this keeps happening, I'm just going to close the comment section and I'm just going to do the streams. Because at the end of the day, they're only here for my opinions anyway. Right? That's why I set up this channel. Right? This is what's wrong with this fucking country. People don't fucking listen. Jump in halfway through a fucking conversation, stick their nose in and get it all wrong. Don't listen to what the person's actually fucking saying. Right? Anyway, as I said, you know, we had some of those leadership qualities, it'd be great. I mean, the closest that I've seen is probably Justin Barrett. No, I didn't kick anybody out. I didn't kick anybody out. No. No. Yeah, exactly. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Absolutely right. So just another reminder, I've already reminded you twice before already, but I'll remind you, we'll be going live for another, what's it? It's 5 o'clock now, so I'll go nearly 5. So we'll go for another half hour or so. I know we're all on the same side, but listen, guys, you just have to understand that, like, when I'm talking about stuff like this, I'm not saying that Charles Hottie was the best thing since sliced bread, because he wasn't. But you take those leadership qualities that he had and you insert them into a modern politician today, we would have someone that we could look up to without all of the corruption and the baggage, as I said. Fucking hell. Anyway, meetups, because that's the... So tomorrow at 12:30 outside the GPO, there's a gathering taking place, and then we're going from the GPO to News Talk FM to hand in a letter to remind basically News Talk of their responsibilities in the reporting of certain issues in this country. Also, the 6th of July, Parnell Square, 1:30. There's a pro-life rally happening, and that is, as I said, Parnell Square tonight. Tonight there is a meetup outside the Shamrock for Thornton Hall, and that is in Finglas, across from the Shamrock. So that's happening as well. And then, of course, as I said, Malachi's one then is on. Then the national protest is on. What did I say it was again? July something it was, but all in the same month. Just go back. I did it twice already. Yeah, but I know it's what after the. Yeah, but listen. I listen. If you start off a conversation by slagging someone off, you're not worth listening to. There's a way for a person to get their opinion across, right? And they chose to go down that route. So, you know what I mean. What's the point of the name calling? Like, if you don't like what I have to say about Charles J. Hottie, okay, come out and say that you have a problem with me, right? But to start off by calling someone a muppet, as I said, that shows that's someone to me that you can't communicate with, right? Because they resort to insults, right? Not once did I say or justify Charles J. Hottie robbing this country, right? I was talking about his personality. Malachi's is on the 13th. It's a national protest at the Garden Remembrance. So, as I said, they're the stuff that's taken place. And as I said, there was an incident involving a child today. A man tried to give two little girls, some vodka and some tablets and asked them to go with him. Apparently, he dragged the child by the arm, and then he inappropriately put his hands on her. Apparently, he threw vodka in their eyes so they couldn't see. And then apparently, this person said, "Dance for me, baby girl," and told them he was ringing his friends to bring them back to a party. And this guy was a non-national. There is video footage. Locals caught up with him, and some local justice was dispensed. So that's what happened today. So Helen McEntee, continues to lie to the people of Ireland by telling the people of Ireland that this country is safe, and it's far from safe. So, as I said, communities now, as I said, there's plenty of things you can do in the community. Yeah, usual suspects as usual, Darden. You know yourself. Usual suspects. What day does the 6th fall on? Well, it's 3 days from now. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday is the pro-life, yeah. Tonight in Coolock, Finglas, I should say, 7:30 outside the Shamrock, across from the Shamrock. There is a gathering taking place there for Tartan Hall. And then, as I said, tomorrow, we've got that meet up at the GPO. So, yeah. We've got 118 people watching right now across the 3 platforms. If you could do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. As I said, I will be at the GPO tomorrow. I'll try to keep you updated on what's going on. I don't know who's organised this event. I'm just I'm going because there's a couple of people I know that are going to be there as well. So you know yourself. Anyway, I think it's the GPO. we met there before for the the gathering for peace. Well, it was outside the GPO, but we had to go to the spire. We went to the spire. It was raining that day, but only around 20 of us turned up that night with candles and stuff. It was when this country was on the brink of absolute meltdown. And there was a gathering for peace called. And as I said, about 20 of us turned up. But it was raining that night as well, rain all over the place. But we tried to light some candles and stuff like that, and you know, there was no speeches or no big major speeches or anything like that. Just people gathered, for all of the stuff that was going on at the time. He began by calling Justin Barrett a Muppet. Wires got crossed after that. Well, if you think Justin is a Muppet, that's up to yourself. Securing the children should be number one priority. Well, as I said, there's plenty of things that people can do in their communities to make sure that their children are safe. Wood chipper. Yeah, Darren. Something more needs to be done, all right. I mean, look at this country. Listen, we've seen recently a few heinous crimes, committed in this country. But I'm just going to be honest with you. These crimes are going to increase. And children are going to be at risk. And this is why I'm trying to get on here and get it out there. People need to start coming together as communities now. As I said, during the heroin epidemic in Dublin, you had concerned parents against drugs. And, they were going around pushers out. There was even some communities took the law into their own hands and removed these people from their flats and kicked them out of their areas. But, that type of community spirit needs to come back. We've lost that. There needs to be a community watch, as I said, and then these events like, street parties for the kids, different events, adults get together, bring the kids on a day trip or something, like the summer projects back in the day. There's plenty of stuff to do, especially the summer holidays, because summer holidays, because the kids are on their summer holidays, there's obviously a lot more of them on the streets, isn't there? So, you got to be there's got to be more done, because as I said, Gardaí are not going to help us. Nobody's going to help us except us. So there you go. That's what needs to happen. But you see, it already is, because as I said, there's been a few events that have been set up, and a few meetups. Yeah, so there's things getting done. But as I said, there needs to be more coordination. There needs to be, hold public meetings, whatever you have to do to get the community involved in this. I said it the other day, I kind of got laughed at for this, but it just takes one person to start something, and then the rest will follow. It's like that line out of the Field of Dreams. If you build he will come, or they will come. There's a bit of dispute over that line because of the Mandela effect, but I won't get into that. But, we got to do it ourselves, like. So, you know, we can. It's time now. Listen, there's been a lot of talking done, and we're gone past the point of talking now, and there has to be serious, proactive uh, measures taken, because, you know, as I said, the migration pact is still there. The country's still going to get planted. Then you have all of these idiots that are being hired just to tell us that we're all a bunch of racists. So the hate speech laws again. They pulled out another whopper in the media today. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. So the media now are trying to tell us, right, that the government are saying that the hate speech laws might be dead in the water, or they may not see the light of day, right? Now, I'm just going to say this, and I swear to good God, right, I will jack it in after this. I'm not messing. I'll be done, right? Because I said this the last time, right? There were videos surfacing, right? And there were a couple of people out there that were media that were saying when they got a knock on the door, you know, by Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael, they asked them about the hate speech legislation, and they said it was dead in the water, right? It was not. And one said, well, they realised they made a mistake with that, and it's been put on hold, whatever, blah blah blah, right? What happened after the election? Straight away they brought it back up. Oh no, Simon Harris is going to enforce the hate speech laws, blah 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 blah. Listen, same trick again. See, they think you're all stupid, and actually the Irish left are stupid, so they have a point, right? But the thing is that they're going to pull the same trick again, right? Basically, they're only saying this. They're going to wait till after the general election, and then they get elected, which is more than likely is going to happen. They're going to push that hate speech law, those legislation through. Either way, no matter what happens, they're pushing that through. They won't push it through now, just in case, because in their minds they're thinking if they push it through now, their voter base is going to be hit, right? Who votes for them? So they'll do the same thing that they do. They'll release the budget. They'll give you all nice little goodies, right? Then they'll get elected again. And then as soon as they get elected, after saying they're not bringing the hate speech legislation through, that'll be the first thing on the agenda, and it'll be pushed through. So don't fall for it again, right? That hate speech legislation is not going anywhere because they've made a big deal out of it. And if they're hiring your woman, trust me, they're getting the mechanisms and the things in place. So when the laws do come to fruition, then they have everything in place then to start fucking charging people and arresting people and all of this other bollocks. So don't fall for it, right? And don't fall for the goodies either. If you are waiting on the budget, right, to make your lives a little bit easier, they will make your lives a little bit easier because they're trying to buy your vote. So don't fall for any of this rhetoric from Helen McEntee and all of these other gobshites out there. And certainly don't be listening to the media when they report and tell you that the hate speech laws are probably going to be dead and buried. They're not dead and buried. They're not dead and buried. They're not going anywhere, right? They want to control the flow of information in this country, right? The only way to do it is to enforce this, and they will enforce it, right? They do it every election, James, and Irish people fall for it every time. They promise them the moon and the stars. They give them the moon, but they don't give them the stars, and then they still vote them in anyway. And then before you know it, then they take away the moon. Do you know what I mean? They give you one hand, then they take it. So that's what we're dealing with. But Irish people have to be smarter now. You can't be falling for the same fucking tricks every fucking time now. It's time that everybody woke up, for fuck's sake. They play the Irish people every time, and they fall for it. Look, either way, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, in my belief, are getting in the next government. because I don't see how they can't. I don't know what's going to stop them, because Sinn Féin is done. They're dead and buried. Nobody needs to focus on Sinn Féin. Everybody knows what Sinn Féin's about now. That whole local and European elections prove that, right? Sinn Féin are a spent force, right? I wouldn't be even surprised if they're replaced as the dominant opposition, right? But the bottom line is the two main parties are getting in, but who are they going to be in coalition with, right? Will it be the Social Democrats? Will it be Labour? You know what I mean? So this is the thing. Don't fall for any of that bullshit. Yeah, I'll see you at the GPO. Paul, have a good one, mate. I'll probably be there. Well, I'll probably get there around half an hour. I like to get there early. Might get a coffee first, whatever. But yeah, I'll be in there pretty early enough anyway. So yeah, you look after yourself. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, they tax it back off you. Yeah, exactly. They give with one hand and take with the other. So don't forget, guys, the GPO. No, it's not. Yeah, I catch you tomorrow. Yeah, I thought I read the 2-2. I thought I read that wrong. Yeah, 12:30 outside the GPO. We're gathering, and then we're marching down to News Talk, handing in a letter, and then I don't know what's happening after that. I didn't organise this, but I'm going to show support because that's what I do. And there's a few people that I know that are going to be there tomorrow as well. So, yeah, if you can get there tomorrow, guys, join us. I don't know if the other side have called a counter protest, but I'm pretty sure we'll interact with a couple of lefties tomorrow. Anyway, it's always entertaining. Yeah, Darden, come over and say hello to me, so I know, putting a face to the name. You know, as I said, and as people have said, we need to work together. You know, we need to. We need to stick together. I just, the bottom line is, as I said, I don't tolerate much bullshit. It's just the way I've been. I've ran another YouTube channel for 7 years, so I've had all the abuse, I've had all the trolls, I've had all the death threats and all of that other stuff that comes with it. But I'm no nonsense now. I'm not going to tolerate it. It's as simple as that. So if someone comes in, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is an insult. Well, then that's it. Bottom line is, I'm not going to listen to that person. And I have every right to respond if they continue it in the chat. So that's just the way I am, and I'm not going to stop. Elizabeth says, "No, thanks for your help. Bless you." Listen, the bottom line is, Elizabeth, I'm willing to be anywhere that I'm needed. The bottom line is, as I've said, we all have to come together. It's all about, us sticking together. It's the only way we win this. They want us fighting with each other. And I reckon that a few people that do come in here are trolls to upset the apple cart to get us to turn on each other. And this is what I told you about internal and external forces working against us, folks. Right? And you're going to get them in the chat. Right? And they're going to try turn yous against me and me against yous. Right? That's what they do. That's how they've won so far. But most of us are awake to it now that we know what their tactic is. Right? But that's why I call the bullshit out. I'm not afraid to call it out. But we've got to stick together. That's the most important thing in this whole thing. It's the only way that we win. right? We don't stick together, we're not going to get anywhere, right? If we stay divided, we stay fighting with each other, then there's no point to it all, right? We might as well jump off the edge of a cliff and meet our maker, right? That's how important it is. So we've got to stick together. So, you know, if I'm asked to go somewhere and if I can visibly make that place, I will go. If I can't, I will share it to my heart's content and make people aware of it so they can get their asses down there. Right? I go to all of these gatherings and all these marches, and people that have been with me, people know that my legs are not great. You know, I was in an accident a few years back and I can't walk long distances like I used to be able to, right? I have to slow down and everything. I have to stop. But I go. I was in Newtown, Mount Kennedy as well. We marched all the way up to that place from where we were, right? It killed me. It nearly killed me. But I got there. And then I walked all the way back after it was done. But again, you know, there are people that I've seen there that turn up with crutches, walking sticks, you know. So, you know, if I had no legs, I'd still show up. And that's what it's about. You know, it's not about me anymore. You know, will I see the benefit of all what we do? Well, I hope so. It'd be nice to see. But if I don't really care once I know that we've moved the country in the right direction and it's promising for the future of future generations of our people. I'll be happy with that. But everybody has to stand up and be counted now. There is still a lot of fear out there, but the fear has to go, because that's how they defeat you in the first place. They use fear. Fear is the biggest weapon that they have. And that's why they hate when we highlight everything that's going on. Because they know if RT News was to actually report on everything that we report on, there would be fear all over the country. There'd be fear in communities. Are our kids safe? You know, husbands be thinking and boyfriends be thinking, is my girlfriend, is my wife safe? You know, the girlfriends and the wives saying, is my husband safe? Is my boyfriend safe? Is my aunt safe? Is my sister safe? Is my brother safe? Niece, nephew? And that's why they don't report all of this. Because there would be a genuine fear out there. And they know once the country is gripped by fear, then what would happen? We would have, listen, right? If the truth was being told, right? I know for a fact that this would be a different situation. If Maliki actually called that protest, we'd easily have 1 million people show up. Easily. Right? That's why the media. I've come up with so many ideas and tried to counter the media, but obviously, you know, they're backed by millions. It's always going to be hard. But we have actually gotten a few chinks in the chain, and we've actually got information out there. But if you could imagine, if RT News was to report on everything that was happening in this country, you wouldn't even have to worry about people turning up. If you called a national protest, you'd have about 1 million people show up, not without a shadow of a doubt. Fear is a big thing. Fear, they've used fear throughout history, especially warfare and politics as well. They're good at using fear with politics. You see the recent stuff now, right, with Joe Biden, for example, right? So he did his presidential debate with well, they call it a debate. It was more like a fucking massacre. But anyway, he debated or attempted to debate Donald Trump, but he couldn't even fucking string a sentence together, let alone fucking it looked like he didn't even know where he was. But anyway, look what the media have done since then, right? Now, some media have called him out and stuff like that, but now the majority is like, well, he had a cold, he just had a bad day at the office, but if you vote in Donald Trump, this is what's going to happen, right? They're using the same thing, right? Fear, right? They're trying to fear the American people into voting for a senile fucking old man that can hardly string a fucking sentence together, right? To vote him in because they fear, because the Democrats feared Donald Trump and the left feared Donald Trump so much that they're literally willing to let someone with the mental capacity of a 3-year-old run for president, right? Of course, we know he's not actually running the show, because how could that be running the show? We all know who's actually pulling the strings, but still, the fact of the matter is, since that debate, they've made sure that he's been seen in public, and it's just so sad. The bloke is clearly senile. He clearly needs rest, right? No matter what you think of him personally, I think he's a scumbag, but no matter what you think of him personally, right, that could be your granddad, right? He's 80 odd years of age and his wife has zero fucking shame. And imagine then after the debate going, oh, Joe, you were great. You answered all the questions properly and all you did. Like talking to him like a 3-year-old, right? And now what's the media doing, right? Instead of actually all going full gun-ho on Joe Biden, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out, now they've turned to, and now it's like, oh, but if you vote in Trump, this is what's going to happen. Fear, 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 right? See, they can't play the rigged election trick again, right? So that's why they tried all the tactics they tried against them, court cases and all of that, right? And it still hasn't worked. And now what's even worse is that the media have been lying about Joe's mental capacity for so long that the American people actually got to see it for the first time properly during that so-called debate. I just can't wait for the second one because it is going to be an absolute shit show. I mean, if any American, I'm just going to say this though, if any American still votes for him, like I don't care what your opinions are on Trump, but if you vote in Joe Biden, then you deserve everything that comes your way as a country. Seriously, you really do. Because, you know, come on. I mean, we have air problems here. Jesus Christ, could you imagine living in America right now? Zombie versus orange. I mean, look, I'm going to sit here and say I don't think Donald Trump is great presidential material either. I mean, the two choices that they have are absolutely shit. But would I rather 4 years of him or 4 years of the senile go? Well, I'd rather 4 years of the orange guy. So, like, you know. But nobody can convince me that those two are presidential because there's nothing presidential about those two. Right? America is actually being screwed over. Do you know what I mean? Right? Not one of them is leadership quality, but there you go. That's the choice that they actually have. Right? Well, there's Jack, it's very interesting that you bring up that because there's a lot of theories. I've seen a lot of fucking sinister stuff being said as well. And you know what? I wouldn't put it past the Democrats. That's all I'm going to fucking say there. But I wouldn't put it past them. Because the only way that they're going to beat him now is if they get another candidate. And they can't do that because the deadline. The only way that that can happen is exactly what you said. Right? So, I mean, it's a fucked up situation over there. So that's the thing. That's what I said. We're rather 4 years of him rather than the other fella. It's at least I know with 4 years of him, the world will be in a better place. Because Do you know what? I'll say one thing. He's not presidential. He's batshit crazy, but nobody wants to mess with batshit crazy. And for 4 years, nobody wanted to mess with batshit crazy. So for 4 years, we had relative peace because he was batshit crazy. And I think that's what we need right now. I think that's what we need right now. As I said, both of them are let down. Both of them are letdowns as candidates. But if you analyse it, you know, I'd rather 4 years of the other fella. I'd rather 4 years of the other fella. Tell you. Fuck that, man. Do you know what? At least with him as well, it was fun watching politics, wasn't it? I mean, you got to laugh. And in fairness, he did give it back to the media because the media were scum. And that's what I liked. At least he fought back against the media. And he still does to this day. That's the thing. So he hasn't changed there. But it's about time someone called these parasites out. Like, they've ruined America. Like, and now the media in this country are trying to ruin us. So get to the GPO. 12:30 tomorrow. Let's send a message to News Talk. Right? And as I said, I've joined a chat there with over 200 members that I got added to. And someone in that chat suggested that the next, because it's too late now, but for the next one, we shouldn't just go to News Talk. We should go to Virgin Media and we should go to RTE simultaneously. So have get a large group of people to meet up, divide them into three. One group goes to Virgin Media, one group goes to RTE, and another group goes to whatever media outlet we decide that we're going to actually put the task and stand outside and fucking let their feelings be known. These people are supposed to report the truth. And as I said, they haven't for decades anyway. The media, news media has always been propaganda. I learned this at a very early age, even in Ireland. You know, it was my dad. My dad is still so on the ball even to this day. You know, he was the one. You know, you might have heard the quote because it's a well-known quote. But yeah, Irish dads do it all the like. You know, my dad always had a few sayings. Like, for example, one was, "Your only friend is your pocket," right? And then the other one was a quote that everybody used. You know, the media tell you what they want you to know, but not what you should know. And that's what it is. And so these people have to be called out. So I do know Paul is going to be there. I think Lady Avera is going to be there as well. Darden, who's in the chat as well, is going to be there. So if there's anybody that's around, and I know for some of you are in work, right? Grand. It's grand. If you're in work, just do us a favor. You know, if you could share the posts on, even Lady Avera has posted it up on her channel, or I've posted it up on my channel, whatever, right? Just get the information out there. If you can't turn up, we understand that some people do work, right? And some of these events are going to be held at a time where some people are working, right? But there'll be other times where they won't. So those events get to, do you know what I mean? As I said, you know, so I said to someone in the chat, because someone was saying, you know, we need to be more organized and all this. I said, look, there's people out there even now as we speak. There's people in Coolock says no. You've got the people out in Newtown, Mount Kennedy as we speak right now, the people in Clonmel. There are actually people out there right now this second. The problem is that we don't have numbers. This is the issue that we've always had. We just don't have enough numbers, right? So if we can boost the numbers up, and this is why I'm saying all of these community things will help us get that. So as I said, if you've only joined us, go back and watch the start of the stream. You know, I've made suggestions for community events, you know, like the summer projects that used to happen, street parties, you know, especially after the incident today. Your children, you have to keep an eye on your children, you know, community watch. You know, as I said, you know, we could take inspiration for concerned parents against drugs. You know, they went out, patrolled their areas during the day, night, all the time. There was someone out, right? And then when all the kids were up in bed and all of that, then that's when the adults then would go home, right? They wouldn't have to stay out long because they'd run most of the junkies out of the area or whatever. But they made sure that once all the kids were gone, then they stayed out for a couple of more hours just to make sure that there was nobody hanging about, and then they went home, right? That's what needs to be happening. Because as I said, the Gardaí are not going to protect you, right? Helen McEntee is not doing her job. Drew Harris is not doing his job. And An Garda Síochána are facilitating what's happening in this country. So you're going to have to take it upon yourselves as communities now, right? And I know that word community is a bit alien nowadays, but we need to go back to that. And all of these events, all of these things that I spoke about, public meetings, community, and these are community centres, you need to be getting out there and doing stuff. Simple as that. It's the only way, right? And then we build their numbers up, right? And then when we're ready to then take national action, right, then we'll be prepared because we'll have the people backing us, right? And then the government will not be able to ignore us any longer, right? I believe it can work. And I believe in you guys. And the reason why I do is because the people that are out there now, I believe that there is that fighting spirit still in us, right? It mightn't be the same, but it's there. And all it needs is to be sparked again. And it will be. It will be. If people in their communities take initiative and do some of these things that I've spoken about, right? You'll start getting more people involved. You'll inspire other communities. And that's what this is all about, right? We've got to connect their people again. We've got to make that connection with each other again. We've lost it. As I said, I can have arguments with people in here. We mightn't always agree. But I can tell you, tomorrow I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with people I've had little niggles with during the week. And you know what? It won't be even brought up or even mentioned. The bottom line is I'm there to support with those people, right? Because this is bigger than us. It's bigger than us. And as far, listen, I look, once it's done, I'm done. I don't hold a grudge anyway. There's no point. You let all that build up anyway. It's ridiculous. So as far as I'm concerned, it's done. I'll shake anybody's fucking hand. Forget about it. Done. We're here standing shoulder to shoulder because we believe in something, the same thing. And that's what's important, folks. Yeah, Grin Reaper, I brought it up earlier. I mean, look, mate, they brought in the durable relationships is in it as well. I mean, they had a referendum, right, on durable relationships. We said no, but they're pushing it through. I mean, what was the point of spending? What did they spend? 25, 30 million, probably more, on that referendum, and we beat them. But why did they spend that money if they were just going to put it in the migration pact anyway? Yeah, that's it, Lady Avera. That's it, man. It's life. Do you know what I mean? Look, I'm too old. Not old, but I'm big and bold enough now. I've done this thing for years. As I said, 7 odd years on the other channel. Like I'm used to social media. Sometimes you will get little bollocks, as you know, get under your skin. But that happens. But as I said, yeah, people can have different opinions. People can even have arguments with each other. But if you're adult enough to put that aside and stand with people because you believe in the same thing, that's what it's about to me, right? At the end of the day, wouldn't it be a boring world anyway if we all agreed with each other anyway? We'd be we'd be the left. Look at them. They all think the same. They probably all shit the same, eat the same, right? They believe the same shit. And look at them. They're miserable bastards. They're miserable bastards, right? So I'd rather have the odd argument with someone or disagreement with someone because it proves we're fucking live, doesn't it? Right? Fucking sheep on the other side. Fucking little drones. Right? They don't even have their own individual personality. And that's why I believe we'll beat them in the end, Lady of Era. Because that's the difference. That's the difference. We've got personality. We've got different opinions. We've got, we're being individual. Right? These people, listen, the left in Ireland, same as the left in the UK, same as the left in Spain, anywhere around, right? They all have the same playbook. Sorry, not the same. It's the same playbook, and it's just repeated all over the world. It's actually ridiculous, like how we got beaten by a bunch of morons. Well, we haven't been beaten here, but they have been beaten in other countries, and I've got, how would you let those morons beat you? Like, seriously. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It would be Barden world, a Barden society, if we were all the same. Because there would be no individuality. But that's what the elites are trying to do. That's why they want you to hate on your flag. That's why when they see an Irish person with a tricolour, or if there's a Spanish person with a Spanish flag, they call you far right. They want to discredit your flag. When you're proud of your national anthem or you're proud of your heritage, you're a racist, right? Do you want to erode all that? Do you want to take away your individuality? Do you want to take away your nationality? Do you want to take away the fact that you're proud of your country? And I'm sorry, I don't want to live in a world like that, because I tell you, it'd be pretty boring. It'd be pretty boring. People would be dull. And then there wouldn't be, I'm telling you, IQs have already dropped. There'd be a lack of intelligent conversation. So I'd get actually bored. Because I don't know about you guys, but, I do like the odd stupid thing. I think we all do. We all like a laugh and all of that. But, I'll give you a perfect example. You see modern women today, right? And they wonder why they can't get a bloke, and then they open their mouth, and then you hear what comes out of their mouth, and then I'm kind of left scratching my head and saying, well, that's why you're not getting a bloke. See, we like a bit of intelligent conversation, and there's nothing between your ears. Well, then I'm sorry. Then nobody's going to have any interest. So I don't want to live in a world where everybody's uniform, because it'd be pretty boring. I mean, some societies are pretty uniform. Look at fucking China, for example. Do you know what I mean? Individuality is important, right? It's what makes you unique. And if someone tries to take that away from you, well, then you're not yourself. I always believe you should be yourself. Nobody has a right to tell you how you should think, feel. And if someone gets offended by what you have to say, well, get a life. That's it. Listen, that flag of ours, right? They'll have to rip that flag out my dead hands. Right? That flag is going nowhere. That flag will never be replaced. And anybody Jerry Adams talking about that bullshit, anybody ever tries to replace that flag, I can guarantee it there will be an uprising. That ain't happening. Right? People died for that flag. right? That flag should be respected, right? And it should be the only flag flying in this country. And I'll say it again, it should be the only flag flown in this country. No other flag. No other flag. No other national flag. No gender cult flag. No bullshit BLM flag or any of those other silly fucking flags. Right? The only flag that should be flying in this country is the tricolour. End the fucking story. And the fact that other countries' flags are being flown in this country, and the fact that these fucking gender fucking flags is an absolute fucking disgrace. Government buildings, schools, churches, and all of this crap. Get the fucking vote. The only fucking flag that ever should be flown is the tricolour. And I'll keep repeating it, and I don't care. Right? People didn't take a bullet for this fucking country to have that flag used as a fucking tablecloth, like fucking Sinn Féin used a tricolour as a fucking tablecloth. We saw a photograph of a Sinn Féin gathering, and they were using the tricolour as a tablecloth. And then these are the same people then that were criticising Irish people for draping a tricolour over their fucking shoulders. So why should I listen to people that don't respect my flag and use it as a tablecloth? You have no right and no right to be lecturing Irish people. You know, the one thing I loved about Italia 90, and I always go back to Italia 90 because for me that was a great period growing up in Ireland, for me personally. I don't know for the rest of you, but for me it was. And the reason why it was because there was a lot of national pride. There was tricolours everywhere. Ireland had qualified for their first World Cup, right? It was like fever pitch in the country. Even people that didn't like football had their tricolours out, right? You couldn't walk down a street in Dublin. I know that for a fact. It didn't matter what area you were in Dublin. The whole road, every house in the state, they had the tricolour bunting out. They had the tricolours flying all over, hanging out their window, taped to their gates, you name it. Right? What a fucking time to be alive. Oh my God. I got emotional the other day. I did. And I've been getting emotional quite a lot for some weird fucking reason. But do you remember Put Them Under Pressure? The song Put Them Under Pressure? Well, Reeling in the Years have that song part of their DVD box set. And in the clip, it shows Ireland. It shows all the tricolours. And while I was watching it, I actually broke down, I did. Because it reminded me of how much we've actually lost in this country. And that was 1990. That's not even far. That's not even that too long ago. Right? Unbelievable. National pride. Everybody walking around in green, white, and gold, green, white, and orange, whatever it was. Right? There's always a debate about the green, white, and gold, and green, white, and orange. But everywhere there were tricolours. And as someone said, pots were painted, yeah? The corner of the pots were painted. The curb part of it. Fucking walls, murals put up everywhere. I mean, there were just tricolours everywhere. It was beautiful, man. And watching that video just reminded me. And then the old granddad is crying because Ireland beat Romania in the penalty shootout. And that's when I literally lost it then. Because we lost so much, man. And we have. That's the thing about the Celtic Tiger, whether you think it was fake or not, but that's what ruined this country. That's what ruined this country. Right? We became colder after Italia 90. 1994 was decent, you're right. USA. Now, it was actually decent, but 1990 it was the highlight. But those 4 years, I'll agree with you, from 1990 to 1994, there was a lot of national pride, there was. And then, as you said, after 94, the mid-90s, then leading up to the 2000s, that was it then. The country was just, that was it. You could see it every year. National pride was just being eroded. There wasn't as many. It's just sad. I've got 3 flags hanging up. I've got a big bay window there in the apartment I have. I've got 3 flags up. I've got the Dublin flag up. I've got the tricolour up. And I've got the Irish Republic flag up as well. And I've got them hanging up now the last 2 years. Even when I first stuck them up, I had people kept looking up all the time. Now they stopped looking up now because I was making faces at them every time, because like I was eating my dinner at the table where the flags are, and like they were looking up, and I'm like, what are you looking up for? You never seen a flag in your life? Just waiting on a letter for me to take them down, because apparently, you know, having an Irish flag is racist now. But seriously, I don't know if some of you were born or remember 1990. I see that some of you are in the chat and remember it. Darren was 10. You're only a little nipper. For fuck's sake. But seriously, if you lived during that time, right, and you even had Riverdance during that time, now no matter what you think of Riverdance, this is my whole point. During those 4 years, Ireland internationally, at home, everybody wanted to be Irish, right? The Irish were even proud to be Irish, but everybody wanted to be Irish, right? Everybody was talking about the Irish, right? We were punching above our weight, the small little country that we were, and we've always made our mark in the world anyway. But even then, we were making our mark in the world. Our culture was being celebrated by countries all over the world, thanks to Riverdance and all of that other stuff. No matter what you think of it, culturally, this country exploded internationally. And we capitalized on that big time. But then, that was the problem. When it became a commercial thing, then people kind of saw it as that. And then people kind of moved away from it. And then that's when the rot set in. And we're here today. And this is what I mean. It all connects. Community was part of that. You know, you look back then. I mean, Crumlin, Drimina, Bluebell, you know, Clondalkin, Ballyfermot, Tallaght, you know, City West, all of these places, all the housing estates around, you know, the block of flats, right? Whether it was Faima, Dolphins Barn, flats in the inner city, right? Green, white, and orange or gold everywhere. Flags everywhere. It was just, I swear, man, I miss it. If I had a time machine, I'm not messing. If I had a time machine, I would pack up, right? I would obviously have to make sure that I have currency, obviously. But I'd pack up and I'd go back to the I'd go back to the mid-80s, 85 onwards. And that's where I'd live out the rest of my life then. Because by the time then we get to this year, I'd probably be already gone. So, you know, at least I'd miss all the bullshit. But I'd literally go back. I know people complained about money and stuff. We still had the same problems as we had today back then. But the difference is people were happy. People were happy. Communities were thriving. You know, there was always, you know, especially during the summer, you saw it mostly during the summer, communities getting together, you know, Crumlin linking up with Drimina for summer projects and stuff like that in other areas. It was great. Ted, sorry about me, dog. He's just seen someone out the window. Ted, away from the window, buddy. Come on. You think you would have got past all of that barking being as old as you are now. Go on. Don't be messing. Is your girlfriend out there? Is she? There's this female dog in the complex, and he loves her. Every time he sees her, he gets very emotional. Meow, little dog. So yeah. Yeah, but listen, I personally like Riverdance, but I was talking to a few nationalists and they believe that's where Irish culture was commercialized, but they're absolutely spot on. And some of them don't like it. I don't mind it because we did generate a lot of money from it. The problem was is that the money wasn't pumped back into Irish culture. What should have happened is we should have used that money to fund Irish language centers or whatever, school, whatever it is. We should have invested it into promoting our heritage and our stuff at home. But we never did that. We never did that. And that's the failure. That's the failure. If you don't capitalize on the financial gain of that, and use the money in the right way, well then, it's a waste of time then. And that's exactly what happened there. The money should have been used, invested back into Ireland, and it should have been used to promote the Irish language, keep the Irish language alive, and our culture. And there's been calls for a long time for statues of certain revolutionaries and museums to be set up and everything. We've never done that. We've always been a bit Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, no matter what they say, they're ashamed of their history. They might claim to be Irish and all of this, and they might put events together for our history, but the bottom line is they're ashamed of it and they don't want that really to do with it. So they do the minimum that they can. They've let the Irish language nearly die out. If it wasn't for the diehard few out there that have tried to keep the language alive, the language would be gone. And same with our heritage. There's a lot of people around the country that are keeping our heritage and their traditions alive. But that's government responsibility. That's what their job is. What's the point of having don't we have a culture minister or whatever, or someone that deals with that? Like, why aren't they actually doing their job and safeguarding our culture? We're on the verge of losing everything, and these people don't care. The Spire was the biggest mistake that they made. What should have happened there, in my belief, right? I know there's a statue of Michael Collins in Cork, but there should have been a statue of, in my opinion, actually, we should have a statue of Michael Collins in O'Connell Street in Dublin as well. But I actually think priority where the Spire is, actually, if it was me and if I was in charge, I would actually pull the Spire down and I'd replace it with a statue of not a monument, I would say, a statue kind of monument thing to our 1916 leaders, right facing the GPO. That's exactly what should have been put there. And if I was in charge of that I'd pull down that Spire. I'd have the Spire removed and I'd have that put in place instead of it. And I also believe there should be statues of the Dubliners as well. I'm a huge fan of the Dubliners, and I think what they did for Irish music and pop culture, if you like, the Dubliners should be recognised as well. So I'm not saying put all these in O'Connell Street. I would definitely have the 1916 leaders in O'Connell Street facing. You could put the Michael Collins statue wherever you want to put the Michael Collins statue, but I'd have a proper statue in his honour in Dublin. And I definitely have the Dubliners. That's just me personally. I see. For me, I'd like to celebrate our heroes. You know, Luke Kelly's statue is always being vandalized, but it's a horrible looking fucking thing anyway, though. I mean, they could have gave him a better fucking statue than that. I mean, the fucking state of it's a head. Like, if you're gonna do a statue of Luke Kelly, at least do a fucking and Rory Gallagher. Listen, we should be celebrating these people. These people fucking, you know, they put us on the map. Yeah, do you remember the voting and the countdown clock? Yeah, that was in some barn in Drogheda for fucking decades or something. I wonder what happened to that clock. The slimy fucking clock. The clock is slowing. Remember the River Liffey. Of all the places to put the fucking clock anyway, the bleeding River Liffey needs to be bleeding cleaned. They haven't cleaned that Liffey at all as far as I can fucking tell. Right? And they put a bleeding clock in. And they spent millions on the fucking thing. And then you couldn't see it because the water was so dirty. So it was a waste of fucking time. Waste of fucking money. Wasted. Do you remember the fountain? The Anna Olivia fucking fountain? That was lovely, that was. The only problem that you had with that was that people were just throwing their fucking rubbish in it all the time. Or pouring very washing up liquid in it. But that fountain was fucking lovely. Do you have that statue? They still have your woman. She's facing the Collins barracks of modern fucking art. And you just have her fucking welded to the fucking ground. Nothing else. The floozy in the jacuzzi, that's it. But that was deadly, man. I know it smelled and all, but that's because Dublin City Council weren't fucking cleaning it. Or Dublin Corporation, as they were called back in the day. But they weren't cleaning it. If they had kept that and maintained that, that was lovely. Do you remember the toilets that used to be there as well? Do you remember there used to be underground toilets there? Man, this city was so... Seriously, man. Dublin in the 80s. I know Luke Kelly and others, you know, their old Dublin was dying out and they didn't like the new Dublin. But that was the Dublin I grew up in, right? And the Dublin I grew up in, yeah, it had a litter problem. And it did. Right? But I can fucking tell you, it didn't look like a shithole. The buildings look clean. You know, everything, you know, people were a lot friendlier. I mean, you could sit in town for hours. I mean, my man and dad used to bring us into walks into town. You know, we'd get something to eat. We'd go over to the fucking floozy in the jacuzzi. We'd sit there because you could sit around it. You know, we'd eat. I'd always put my rubbish in the bin. You know, you had your woman, the mad, what was her name? The crazy lady, Mary, or whatever her name was. She was up there doing her little dance and selling her flowers or whatever it was she used to sell. Like, I remember this. I remember all of these people and all. Well, someone did make a lot of money for the clock, all right, yeah. I mean, but we did. But the thing about it is, they were going to do a millennium clock. I don't know why they didn't put something in the centre of fucking O'Connell Street rather than put it in the fucking Liffey. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we wait. This Irish government, you know what though? What makes me laugh is this Irish government have wasted billions over the decades on stupid projects. Right? I mean, they do it every time. Everything is always over budget as well. Just like the new hospital, over budget. But every time we're like, yeah. You know, the opposition will give out about it. But the Irish people never are like, well, protest. Well, like, what, like a hospital that was supposed to cost 80 million or something is now going to cost what, 1-2 billion or something, and nobody even questions it. Like, it's not costing that. It's corruption, right? It's corruption. But imagine designing a hospital that has flaws in it in the first place. Oh, I mean, only in Ireland. No wonder the fucking Titanic sank. Fuck's sake. We put our hands down the bottom of the fucking Atlantic. Has anyone here seen the video? Irish nationalists didn't fight for diversity. If more people see it, it would be nice. I haven't seen that video. No, if you want to post it put the link there in the chat. You're more than welcome to do so, Finn. Yeah, man, they used to put fairy washing up liquid in the fucking floozy then. And she'd get clogged up, so they'd have to knock it off. They'd have to clean it out. That was the only time. I think people used to do it deliberately, though, because it was the only time that the council would fucking clean it. I mean, they used to allow people to throw their fucking McDonald's cups and their Burger King cups and their lids and everything into the fucking fountain. Like, you had litter inspectors right back in the day, but they didn't really do their fucking job. You know, they were never present really in O'Connell Street. You'd see the traffic wardens all right back in the day, but you'd never really see the fucking litter wardens. But I did. I liked the floozy and the jacuzzi. I really did. I was actually devastated when they moved it. I actually remember I went into town. I was actually that heartbroken. It was part of my childhood. Part of my childhood. As I said, we'd go into town and that's where we'd sit. It was a nice little sitting area it was. So they kind of, you know, when it left, kind of took that away from me. So yeah, I was sad to see it go. And now she's just fucking, as I said, she's facing the Collins's Barracks of Modern Art there, or whatever you fucking call it. Collins's Barracks, and she's just welded onto the fucking ground. Like, it's actually sad. It's actually sad. Because a fountain right now in Dublin City would be deadly. I mean, you've got the other fountain around by Trinity there, that little fountain there. But that fountain needs to be fucking cleaned. The pipes need to be cleaned and all of that, and they don't bother with that one either. Like, it's stupid. Like, the council don't do fuck all. Dublin City Council are useless and always have been. Right? I mean, back in the day, we used to slag them off. You know, take 3 of them to dig a fucking hole. But at least 3 of them were fucking working. You know, you hardly see these pricks. Like, everybody is complaining about the city being filthy. Do you remember after the so-called riot, they all came out and cleaned the city? Where's the council since then? Right? City's a pigsty again. Yeah, man, they were the good old days. And then you had the underground toilets as well. Now, I never really used the toilets. I remember my parents always saying, don't go down to those toilets. But, yeah, they closed the toilets down then after. I remember when the toilets closed down as well. There used to be a couple of toilets, one on O'Connell Bridge as well. Then they introduced, I remember, I think it was in the late 90s or early 2000s, then they introduced another one. It was a digital one, you had to pay. But then I think all the people that were on drugs were using it, and then they got rid of it. That's why they got rid of all the phone boxes as well, right? That's why you hardly see telephones in the city anymore. There's no telephones anymore. They got rid of them because of all the people were either sleeping in them or doing drugs in them. So they got rid of them. There's only few places around that still have phone boxes, you know? But I remember, man. I remember. And the Aircom phones, they were a pain in the fucking hole. You had to type in the number, and then type in the number, then throw in the money or whatever it was. But it was very confusing. Could you imagine kids trying to use the phones we used back in the day? They wouldn't have a fucking clue. Wouldn't have a clue. But look, there should be a lot more. You know, this city needs, the Dublin, O'Connell Street especially, needs to be cleaned up, and it needs to be jazzed up. But I take that spire out of there. It's a horrible piece of architecture, and it's not in line with the architecture of the city anyway. And as I said, if you had a memorial to the 1916 leaders there instead, I think that would be very fitting instead of that fucking stiffy near the liffy, as I call it. Get that fucking sound needle out of there once and for all. Stick it in a field somewhere. I don't give a fucking shit, but get it out of there. Right? Get it out of there. It's no place to be. It's horrible anyway. It's horrible anyway. And again, they fucked that up as well, because it's supposed to have material on it, right? That self-cleans, right? And it needed a certain amount of rain for it, right? But even in Ireland, it wasn't getting enough rain for it to clean. So every time you went to clean it, it cost the taxpayer 10 grand at the time. Now, I don't know how much it costs now, or if they even clean it now. But 10 grand a pop it cost to clean it, because they fucked it up. Like, we didn't get enough rain for it to self-clean, so they had to go start cleaning it themselves. Yeah, the call cards. Oh, don't get me started on them. Oh, for fuck's sake. Jesus, man. And there were so many different ones as well. Then loads of different companies start bringing out call cards and all that. They were handy back in the day, though. I have to say, if you didn't have credit on your phone, old mobile phones were always a bit of an issue. I had one of those Motorola ones. They were big compared to phones today, but I had a Motorola one, yeah. Remember, how much did it cost me at the time? I think it cost me, I think it was 449 quid back in the day. Mobile phone, €20 credit, brand new phone. And back in those days, you charged your phone and it lasted for a few days. None of this bollocks, like, you know, you charge a phone today, you use your phone, and in a couple of hours you need to fucking charge your phone again. None of that bollocks. You could have your phone charged and it'd last you literally, well, if you didn't use it all the time, literally a week. You could play Snake and all on your phone. Deadly. They were the good old days. Yeah, I obviously Motorola was my first phone, but then I did get into Nokia. Nokia then was my phone of choice, and then Nokia, then they went out of business, didn't they? But Nokia was always my phone of choice. Then after that, I had every single Nokia you could think of back then, and when I could afford a mobile fucking phone. So yeah, I mean, they were nothing like the phones we have today, like, but they were handy. You know, I'd actually prefer it. I know Nokia did bring out that older model of the, what was it, the 3310, wasn't it, or something. They brought out an updated version of it, and it looked kind of cool, but yeah, they screwed up with, I think it was Engage, wasn't it? Wasn't it them that did Engage? I think that's what fucked them up. They lost a lot of money after that. But yeah, Nokia phone. Listen, I dropped the Nokia. Listen, right? I dropped the. I had this one particular Nokia phone for about 3 years, and not telling you is a word of a lie. It must have went into about 15 pints of Guinness, right? I dropped it out a window a few times. I actually threw my phone across the floor at one time after an upsetting thing, and I just threw my phone. Listen, that phone survived all of that, right? And still worked, right? And the best thing about all phones was if they got wet, you just put it on the radiator and just let it dry out. But do it slow, because if you drew it, obviously if you dry it out too fast, it steams up and it fucks everything up. But seriously, man, that phone, I'm not telling you a word of a lie. I always use, when I got drunk, man, I take my phone out and I always drop. I did it every time. Like, it just dropped into the fucking point. Couldn't hold the fucking phone straight. Because back then the screens were small. So you'd be literally, you know. Oh, they were. You give me an old phone over a new phone any day. I think you can buy. I know that some of the companies have brought out updated versions, but they're still sturdy like the old phones. Like I'd buy one of them as a backup. I would buy one of them as a backup. I'd rather have an old phone on me because Jesus Christ, man, the things you used to get. I mean, literally, I remember this was the day where you could change the battery and all. If your battery was fucked, you could buy a new battery for your phone. Right? The battery gets fucked in days. You can't buy a new battery for these phones. That's stupid. You can't open these phones up nowadays. Take the battery out and replace it. No, they make you replace the whole fucking phone. But back then, you could replace the battery. You could go to any phone shop. I need a battery for whatever Nokia it was. They give you a brand new battery. Bob's your uncle. They'd even put the fucking thing in for you. Switch your phone on to make sure that it worked before you left the shop. Yeah, good old days. Good old days. We should have more of these conversations as well, actually, though. These are good. These are good. You know. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I've got another stream to do, and then I've got to get prepped for tomorrow. I've got to charge me battery pack and stuff like that. We film these events because just in case something kicks off and the media try to spin it, we have the footage then to counter that. So we'll do that. So what my plan is I'm not going to talk at all. I'm just going to record. Obviously record the whole thing. That's the plan, from start to finish, and then throw it up on YouTube later on. So I don't know how long this event is for. I don't know if it's an hour or a couple of hours. But if there's any speakers or anything like that, it'll all be recorded. You'll get to hear the speakers and stuff like that. Unless the only problem is now, and I have to make this clear, if they're going to be directly talking about the coup, I won't be able to throw the videos up on YouTube, because anything with that being mentioned, if you doubt the facts that as YouTube see them, your video is automatically taken down and you'll receive a strike on the channel. I've already put up a couple of videos that have mentioned that, and that's exactly what's happened. So, I'll put up what I can, is what I'm saying. But if there's any speeches in relation to that, I won't be able to put it up on YouTube. So what I might try and do is I will be able to get it up on X. But remember, I'm not monetized on X, so I only get 2-minute and 20-second videos on X. So if I can, I'll try post all the parts up on that if it's not too long of a video. But the most of the footage will be up on YouTube for you guys tomorrow. So I've got the battery pack to charge, other stuff, then obviously get me gear ready. I always bring a bag with me just in case, I decide I need to get some shopping or out while I'm out, that sort of way. I always think of something. But I bring a bag with me anyway, carries me stuff as well. So yeah, so 12:30 tomorrow, GPO. I hope to see some of you there. We're going to need, now remember guys, we're going to need numbers. So the more people that show up, the better. But if you can't make it, as I said, if you could do us the honor of posting, it's on my community tab, Our Lady Era's community tab, in relation to this meetup tomorrow. So if you could share, they're on the community tab, as I said, but so if you could share them wherever platform that you're on, just to get the word out there, that would be absolutely fantastic. But I'm going to leave it there, folks, for now. I hope you have enjoyed this stream. I've actually enjoyed it, and I want to thank everybody. I don't know how many is actually watching officially on YouTube, but we've got 167 people watching over the 3 platforms. So that's Facebook, YouTube, and of course X. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We will be doing more streams like that. Also, as I said, we have set up a new channel now because people were asking if they could come on and talk and give their opinions and stuff like that. So I've set up another channel. Let's see, have I still got it saved here? I should still have it saved here. No, hold on. I'll get it there now and I'll whack it in the chat for you. Go and subscribe because the first stream is this Friday. We start from 7 and we finish. We are finishing now. I just want to make it clear, right? I'll do a 3-hour stream on a Friday night and then Monday on the other channel. But I won't be going over the 3-hour mark. It's 3 hours, right? So if you want to come on, right, best thing to do is get into the studio early. I'll put the link in the chat. But the best thing to do will be to get into the studio early. Because now I'm going to try it this way first. I'm going to bring a guest on one at a time. Give people, say, around 10 minutes each, right? And get as many people as I can on. That way, then it's not just the same people coming on all the time. Different people in the chat will be encouraged to come on. So yeah, I'm gonna post that link now in a second. Just bear with me. So we start the first stream Friday, 7 p.m. Enjoy your zone. Get it off your chest, and it's an opportunity for all you guys in the chat who would like to come on. Now, you don't have to show your face on camera. If you choose not to, I'm not going to force anybody to put their face on camera. But I will say this: I will be strict in the fact that you have to stick to the YouTube rules. All right, so you have to be clever with the way you word things. You know, I'm not saying you can use bad language and stuff like that. Just don't go over fucking board. You know what I mean? I use a bit of bad, but don't go overboard. But also stick. You know, the bottom line is this. You know. So I don't get into trouble and you don't get into trouble. The best thing to do is make sure that you're up to date with YouTube's new terms of service, because you know the bottom line is this, folks, right? This channel is for you guys, for an opportunity for you to get stuff off your chest. So if you wanted to keep going, you know, what I'm trying to say is it's up to you guys to safeguard it and make sure that it doesn't get taken down. So just, as I said, just be aware of what you can and can't say on YouTube. You know, when you're talking about crimes like, you know, what happened to the girl recently where your man got locked up because he did something with a bottle, well, you can't use that terminology. You have to say SA instead. So when you're talking about things of that nature, you have to say SA, right? Which is short for the actual what happened. So you have to be clever like that, and you have to be, you know, aware that this is the kind of language that you had. See, this is why I've lasted so long on YouTube, right? And I've seen many come and go and their channels disappear, because if you want to survive on here, you can still get your message across. But if you can play the game and know how to put your message across so it doesn't get you into trouble, well, then you're okay. Do you know what I mean? So here it is here. I've linked it now. And it's in the chat there. So there's the link. As I said, this is an opportunity for you guys in the chat. Anybody that's listening, anybody that's wanted to come on, or anybody that's never come on, but wants to come on, you're more than welcome. So we'll start at 7. So what will happen is I'll set it up obviously Friday. But come in around 6:30. Because what I'll do is then is I'll put the link in there. Right? I'll put the link in the chat. And then it's whoever, I can only fit 10 people at a time in the studio. Right? So the first 10 people to get in are the first 10 people that are going to be able to talk. And as I said, bring these on one by one. Right? That way then we can get through yous all. And then if there's more people that want to come on, so when one guest is finished, we'll remove them from the studio, bring on the next guest. And then if there's anybody else that wants to come in, they can pop in the studio while they're waiting on the other guest. That way, then everybody gets a chance to discuss what they want to talk about. Okay. Now there is no restriction on what we talk about on the other channel, except it has to be in relation to what's happening in the country. That's it, because it's about us. It's about our country and what's going on in our country and what you think of it. So it's about Ireland. I don't want to hear any nonsense about Palestine or Israel or any shit that's going on around the world. All I'm focused on is what's happening in this country and what you think is going on, or if you have any stories or incidents that happen that you want the public to be made aware of, or articles out there that maybe nobody has covered that you would like to highlight, that sort of thing, right? It's called Get It Off Your Chest for a reason, and that's why I decided to go with that. Obviously, I know there has been a Get It Off Your Chest on radio, but we're called the Irish Zone Get It Off Your Chest, and it's for you guys to do exactly that. Right? So if you play the game, then we'll be all good. We'll be able to do this. And I plan on doing it twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. Mondays and Fridays. So that's it. You just have to be Wyatt James. That's it. I'll give it a go. Listen, the bottom line is this. If anybody comes on and acts the bollocks, they get removed. Darn. It's just as simple as that, right? I've no time for trolls. I've dealt with them all my life. Listen, if someone's just coming on to just make a nuisance of themselves and don't actually have a valid point to make, well, then they're removed. It's as simple as that. So don't worry. I know for a fact we're going to get some lefty twats trying to come in and maybe probably have a go. But don't worry, they'll have about 3 seconds of their little fame and then they'll be gone. Don't worry about that. I'm not worried about that. Listen, if those lefty little dickheads want to come on here, right, and make a show of themselves, they're more than welcome to do so, right? No better man to laugh at them when they're making a holy show of themselves, right? Not one of these people have a brain cell between them. Right? They don't have a brain cell between them. They've no intelligence. They lack it. Right? So if they come on here, people are just going to see their true colors. So let them. Let them. I'm only doing this as an experiment to see how it goes. Right? It was people asked because people wanted to come on here and chat. And I don't really want to do that on this channel. So I decided to set up another one to do that on. Right? So go and subscribe to it. If you're interested in coming on, anybody in the chat, if you are interested in coming on, guys, then get in there between 6:30. As I said, if you get in there at 6:30, when I put the link in, first 10 people, right, to start off with, and then as soon as we the guests then leave, I'll say, right, here's the link again. There's a space available there. Anybody wants to come in, and it's basically whoever gets in first. You know what I mean? So that's how we're going to do it. that's obviously if we get loads of people wanting to come on. But I have seen that, you know, because in the early days when I was in spaces, you'd have a lot of people listening, not many people talking, and always the same people talking. But now I have noticed now there's a lot more people out there starting to speak up. So this would be the perfect opportunity, right? And the best part is, guys, right, is the bottom line is this. You'll be able to get your voice out there. You'll be able to get your opinion out there for everybody to hear, right? And, you know, it's great when you see, even when I come up, when I give my opinions, it does make you feel good when you see that people are the same mind as yourself and agree with you, right? And, you know, as I always say to people, some people will start off nervous and all of this. Listen, you know, you mightn't believe this, but I was really shy back in the day. And I never, when I first started off doing YouTube, you know, I was very shy, didn't want to be on camera and all of this other nonsense. But as the weeks went on, I got more and more confident. And then now I won't shut the fuck up. Do you know what I mean? So if you're a bit nervous, don't be nervous, right? I mean, be nervous. But what I'm saying is it'll get easier. And I will help you through that. Anybody out there, I've been through it before. So if you're struggling to get your point across, don't worry. I'll jump in there and I'll keep talking until you're ready to get whatever point of view or whatever opinion you have across. That's the bottom line. That's all I'm here for. I'm here to host and listen to you guys and tell me what you want to get off your chest. And as I said, if we play by the rules, but you get smart about it, you can still get your point across without breaking YouTube's rules. Remember, we don't want to break YouTube's rules because as long as we're on YouTube, we can get our points of view out there for everybody. Remember, as I said, you know, we have X, TikTok, Instagram, and all these other. YouTube is the hardest one because YouTube is the one that censors you the most. But you see, I'm pretty okay because I've been doing this 7 years. So I know how to kind of get around it. Now, sometimes we will get caught out and it'll happen, right? But the majority of the time, it's all good. So, you know, I hate when people complain about YouTube. You know, you just have to be smart. And to me, if you're complaining, then it means to me that you're not willing to be smart and get creative. So that proves to me then you're a lazy piece of shit. You shouldn't be running a YouTube channel. You have to get creative. That's why I've lasted 7 years. You don't last 7 years on YouTube, right? I've had BBC come after me. I've had Pink News come after me. Escapist magazine come after me. Try take down the other channel, and I'm still there, and I still survived. Play the game, and then that's it. Because when they tried to take me down, try to take the channel down, I just said to YouTube, well, you want to watch my video? I haven't said anything that I'm not allowed to say on YouTube, and I'd like a manual review, and I've won every time. Comes with experience. Now, YouTube do change their terms and service all the time. They're dickheads, but you have to keep up to date with it. If you don't, then, you know. Spanner for posting links. Yeah, they're a bit weird for link posting as well. But that reminds me, there is the other channel there. So if you want to come on, give your opinion on anything, guys, that's the place for you all to come on to the channel and speak up and tell us what you're thinking. But I'm going to leave it there for now. I just want to thank you all for joining me. We have 172 people watching over the 3 platforms. I just want to say thank you very much to you all. Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment as well. Give it, you know, if you want to leave a comment. As you know, I'm still posting links up for you and all of this and the odd video. I have to be careful with the videos now because I do believe that there are some foreign nationals putting up videos and then waiting for nationalists to post them up on their YouTube channel, to hit their YouTube channel, because this YouTube channel has been hit twice by some for the national. I did go and email him. I was nice. I was saying if there was a way of resolving this. He hasn't even looked at the emails, it looks like, and he hasn't responded. So it was a deliberate act, and this is why I'm warning people. Don't be just, unless it's your own footage or you know the person that's putting up the footage, don't throw it up, because there are people out there that are deliberately putting footage on social media, so people put them on their social media accounts so they can take them down. This is why we've seen a lot of nationalist YouTube channels and their X account being taken down in recent weeks, is because of that, right? Now, I emailed this man and tried to be nice to him, right? And I was nice to him, and he hasn't responded. So it was a deliberate act. I was right all along, because I said it was deliberate. It was a deliberate act, and, you know, I'm very careful now. I haven't been posting, as I've noticed, the videos haven't been going up as much. I have to be careful now, because unless I know who's sending me the video and I know who the source is, I won't throw it up now. It's just the way it's gone. But that's how dirty. That's what I said. Internal, external forces working against us. But they'll use any tactic to them. They'll use any tactic to gain an advantage. Anyway, I will leave it there. Listen, enjoy the rest of your evening, or wherever you are in the world. It might be afternoon for some of you. Enjoy it. I will talk to you very soon. Obviously, I will be at the GPO tomorrow. So as soon as I'm there, I might throw up an odd video here and there, because then I'm going to be recording then all the way then down to news talk. So I'll throw some stuff up there. So keep an eye on that, and then obviously I'll have that. Hopefully, if I'm able to record the whole lot, I will have all of that footage for you, so you can look. And hopefully there's a couple of speakers as well, and they're speaking about other stuff, because, you know, as I said, have to be careful on YouTube. And maybe some of the guys that are here would like to say a few words. Again, they don't have to go on camera, but if they want to say a few words and stuff like that, you know, they're more than welcome to do so. But I'll see some of you tomorrow, 12:30, GPO. We're walking up to news talk, so we'll see you there. For the rest of you, don't forget to like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. And as we get running on the other channel, then what I'll do is I will start promoting some of the other people out there that run social media or YouTube channels. Definitely be promoting people like Lady Avera and stuff like that. There are plenty of people out there that are putting out some great content as well. So look out for them all, won't you? So until tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your evening, and yeah, take care, folks. Bye bye.